Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever it is that you are in this plane of existence. Hopefully, usually when I go on through OBS, it likes to throw a commercial in there. Hopefully, you guys are. I know you like to try to support, but just skip through that. So, because I want to get into phone calls and hearing from you guys, and so let me go over where I can see the chat and say hello to everybody. I know this is I'm a little late. Sorry, you guys know me by now. So we got hi preliminal. Hi Michael Fontaine. By the way, happy belated birthday. I heard you had an awesome weekend last weekend. So I wanted to make sure that I addressed that with you. And we've got Rod R. and welcome everybody. I think yeah, it was today. The placebo effect and controlling our mind was the video that dropped, which tells us that science knows, you know, they're well informed that thought, that through our mind, that it creates. So if we think it, we believe it, and we have no doubt. Therefore, it becomes. So with them knowing that, we've talked about advertising and why they would advertise pharmaceutical medications or things of that nature when, that's something between you and your doctor, whether or not you need a specific medication or not. So, what we want to talk about tonight is Lionsgate, the heart expansion. Also, we're going to talk about conscious awareness, and I want to talk about a long time ago. This is like way back, way back. Like I'm thinking maybe 15 to 17 years ago. I was told that I was praying incorrectly. And then, like, well, how do you pray incorrectly? Of course, we go into our prayer closet, we pray, and then meditate, and we get answers. And, we went through that, we get into balance, into, the 0 point being at our heart, which is magnetic, and then our mind, which is electronic, and then it sends out the toroidal field. And this is all old news for you guys. But, anyways, I was told a long time ago that I was praying incorrectly. And I was like, well, how can you pray incorrectly? And what I was given is that I should not affirm if somebody says they have, let's say, they have a broken arm, or, well, that's not a good example because you get a cast and that heals. I mean, accidents happen. That is a good reason for having hospitals for emergency type situations. But say somebody is sick, they've got some kind of an illness or something. And if I'm praying on their behalf and I am affirming their illness in my prayer, I'm basically, with my thought and my intentions, unknowingly, I am affirming whatever is afflicting them. So I was taught to pray to look at them as whole, to remove whatever it is that even they're thinking is going on within them, no matter where they heard it from, and to think of them as whole and healthy and perfect as they were made, as they were created, to not be affirming the illness. Does that make sense to you guys? It took me a while because, as I would get information, it would be through prayer and meditation, and there's a communication gap in the beginning to get the understanding of how I would, understand information as it was coming in. And once that was lined out, then it got easier and easier as time goes on, which we're all well aware of. The better the connection, the better the communication. So now when somebody asks for prayer or things of that nature, I do pray, but I pray that I see them completely whole, 100%, no affliction in them whatsoever. I beseech on their behalf as wholeness, healthiness, to the fittest that they can possibly be in this realm of existence. Take control of your thoughts. Exactly. You're supposed to put something over your head, right? Well, see, they teach those different types of things, Michael, in different religions. But also in different religions, they say, taste not, touch not, don't look here, don't look there. So I say faith. Faith is in things that are not seen, that so you can imagine something beautiful and wonderful and have faith in it and without doubt and then watch it come to fruition. Where a lot of times in religion, there's stumbling blocks. So you can say that hair on top of my head is a head covering. So what do they mean by a head covering when you are in prayer? Um, the veil has been rent. When Christ came and we think about the things since I was raised Christian that he taught, the red letters, the parables, even when he taught them how to pray, he knew they were praying in error. They were affirming, things within others and within themselves, and therefore causing it to magnify in manifestation within themselves. There are people, I'm telling you, there's people that know these very abilities that are within each and every single one of us. And there are those, like I said in the last stream, the three groups of the awakened. There are those, that are scared, they're in fear, and you can't push. They'll come along when they're ready. There are those that know these things about us, and they use them as means of control over the population. And there's those that are awakened that want everybody to know this very much within themselves. This is not meant for control measures. This is not meant to oppress others. This is meant for us each to understand, and to walk in it. And it is a complete renewing of your mind, and you get a circumcised heart. Everything that is promised from Christ, born from above, renewing of your mind and a circumcised heart, it all happens. It's when we do things sometimes out of ignorance. We talked about this in the last live stream also about when, it's okay if something is happening or going on with you to seek counsel, from others. Oh, you guys, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot to light the candles for you. Hold on a minute. One moment, please. And click. There we go. Candles are lit. Okay, we're good to go. Okay. Oh, get a little giggle in there. Okay, so now that the candles are lit, okay, so we have those three groups. So those that are afraid because they don't know, they're afraid to touch, taste, or even look into things because it's, been taught to them that it's bad. What is actually considered good or what is considered evil? It's actions. It's the actions that we take towards one another in the unseen and in physical reality. If we are physically harming somebody else, that's wrong. We know better. Some of the things that we learn as we move along is on the unseen realm that we were talking about before I went to light the candles. When we seek counsel from others, we want them to be unbiased and not taking sides in any kind of a confrontation or any type of a situation. This being because if we are going to people because we want them to take our side, they are inadvertently sending thoughts and intentions that are not healthy towards another individual. And a lot of times, most times, we don't know the entire story. So if we don't know, and if we're not actually a participant, we should remain as neutral as possible. Therefore, we're not sending any intentions unintentionally to do harm to another person whom it just may be that we just don't have the full understanding of the scope of what's going on. Let me turn my phones on. Um, just one moment. And let's see. Oh, I hope that's not blasting your ears. I don't have desktop audio on, so you shouldn't be able to hear it. Just I should. Okay. Okay, you come in on mute, and let me pull the phone number up for you guys because I really want this to be a call-in share show. So, and then when you call, stay on mute until it can hold up to 5 calls, and then I want to try and type in, especially if you have a channel, I want to type in your name in your channel so that way people will know how to reach you, contact you, and be able to see what you have, whatever you're sharing. If it resonates with them, they'll be able to find you easier and get a hold of you. Okay, let's see. Intuitive, fruitive. Oh, I like that free. Okay, and then Michael, because just saying one time my mom praying, she felt odd, put something over her head, and she said women should do this to pray. So that's why I asked the question. And you know what, Michael, if that's what she feels that she needs to do for her comfort level, that's all good. Each of us are so unique and so individual. There's nobody else like you. What I need will be something different for the evolution. We go through a lot of the same similar steps, a lot of the same similar big steps will have synchronistic things happen. Uh, like like as this progress begins, you can hear ringing in your ears because now you're getting attuned to those frequencies that are coming at us, or now you're able to hear them. Some can be from God Almighty to help with your awakening process because we're always assisted, or some can be man-made coming to your attention so you can push those off, be aware of them, and know they're there so they no longer have any effect on you. Each person has their own way. So if she feels that she needs to cover her head when praying, what a beautiful gesture. Rituals are not a bad thing. If you watch the Placebo and the Control Your Mind post, it talks about rituals. It talks about how the scientists know that thought through our mind can create and manifest healing even with a sugar pill. And a lot of the things they tried to give credit to it was that you were still seeing, the doctor in the lab coat, you were having tests done, so you felt like you were being cared for, therefore having the results without actually taking any medication for the supposed affliction. Well, we know we could take that a step further and know that the power of the mind is mighty and can create and wreak havoc. These are the tools that have been used by the awakened ones who want to use it as a control mechanism. And by using it as a means of control over the population, they want us to be subservient. They know, they have to know, they know the power that's within each and every one of us. They know. They have to know also the equality. If you ever notice that they have to put out signs or some kind of a warning or something in the universal law where they have to give a heads up before they do something, a lot of times hindsight's 2020. We'll see that stuff in hindsight, okay? But it gives us time. It gives us time to push that back so whatever event or whatever may be coming our direction, we can push back on it and bring prosperity and goodness and peace and abundance to one another instead of having catastrophe and disaster and things like that come into our awareness. It's an amazing understanding to to know this about ourselves, to know the very power that lies within each and every one of us. And why is it that, you think of it from the control? You want, this was a dream that I had. This one, I think it was about 10 years ago, maybe. 2010, 2011, maybe. Okay, I had this knowledge, and it was me, but it wasn't me. It was like me at a different time, and there was another person standing next to me, and they had this gnosis also. And it seemed like everything had fallen away, and like everybody had forgot. So me and this other person had this gnosis. Well, mine turned into stone. So like carvings, hieroglyphic looking things. So whatever the knowledge is that I had, it turned into stone. And the other person went into what looked like a township and shared it with their family and made profit from it. I didn't quite understand what that dream meant at the time. I didn't know what the heck would they be doing. But you know what? As time progresses, things become clearer, and then we can understand and understand. And it is so important that we each take back our own thoughts, the power of our thoughts. Remember, we have over, 70,000 thoughts, 70,000 plus thoughts a day into captivity, into doing the highest good for not only ourselves, but for all of those around us. Now, it doesn't mean we need to be polarized. And I'm going to go through that again. Because if we're polarized, we're not 0 point. 0 point sits at the throne of our heart. Heart is magnetic. And if we are not using the rainbow up and down, like think of it as like Jacob's ladder or whatnot, then we're polarizing to one degree or another. And what that does is it stops the motion. It will stop us from moving any further in any direction, because we're no longer allowing for things to be, to learn, glean, and grow. We're polarizing ourselves, saying that we can't touch, just like with religious texts and things like that. Don't look at this, don't touch that, it's considered evil. Knowledge is not evil. Looking into information and educating yourself is not evil. It is the actions that we take with the knowledge that will deem whether or not we are being evil to our brothers and sisters. Are we wanting harm to come to one another? Is that what we're looking for? Is that why we're studying? Is that what, is that what we're going after? I've been doing a lot of in-depth research into the secret society type things, and with those, they have them swear oaths. Well, being raised Christian, what were we told? We are told not to swear an oath. So, they're sworn an oath of secrecy, and they go through these rituals and these weird, odd things that we would consider odd, to keep their secrets. So, others don't find out about this. Well, we're finding out, guys. The secret's out. We're not having you swear an oath. We're not. We are talking about these things. Now, I'm going to say it's not the most popular thing. A lot of people will come against things of this nature. I mean, it's not an easy thing to stick your neck out and talk about things like this, because there's a lot of people that live in that fear paradigm and are afraid to, they're into that taste not, touch not type of a paradigm, and they won't even do the research on it, and then they'll say, well, that's evil, or you're evil, or and they will distance themselves. So sharing this type of stuff and this type of information is not going to make you the most popular kid on the block. It's really not. But it's not about that. It's more important that others pick this up within themselves than it is to be the most popular or the most fantastic or the most polished YouTuber or any of that. None of that really matters. What matters to me is Is anybody picking this up? Is anybody else moving along? Is anybody else testing these things within their own realm, their own paradigm, in their own spectrum, and getting affirmations or confirmations of anything that is going on or that we are talking about? Hi, Doc Michaels. How are you? The phones are on, Doc. I've been hoping and hoping and hoping that you would call and share that fantastic story with everybody. I know there's not a lot of people in here tonight, but that's okay. You never know when I'm going to come on and when I'm not. And it's a live call and share show. I want people to talk about Lionsgate, the heart expansion energy. What have we learned? And for you to share that amazing testimony of on humility and how you can speak in a place where you're alone, but can be heard by highly awakened and evolved individuals who know whom they are and the equality and the balance. And that to me was such a phenomenal testimony that you have. What an experience to have within your life that is yours, your very own. Um, I don't want to say more about it because it would really be better for you to share it because it is your testimony and it is it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So hopefully he'll call. The phones are on. It holds up to 5 calls in there. And once you're in there, you can go ahead and mute the show because you can hear everything. You can hear me and the caller and everything going on. You can still participate in the chat. It's just when I get to your call, I'll unmute you. And if the show's going on in the background, we can get like a little feedback thing. Giving yourself, it's a way of life. Yeah, it completely, I agree with that. It is a paradigm shift. It is a new way of life. It is a new walk. It's a complete new understanding of what we are, who we are, and what we're able to do. And like I was, sharing earlier, that even if we have grievance, we need to take it, if we have a grievance, we need to take it to a mature elder, somebody that is very awakened, that will not cast judgment one way or another, because when we cast judgment or take sides, we're throwing that energy in a way directed at the other person, sometimes without even knowing it, and we're harming somebody else, and we never ever want to be doing that. We never want to be harming, robbing, or snatching life force out of anybody else's sovereignty and rights to create, and their divinity and sovereignty and beauty that is within them. The only time that we should stand is when they are directly in conflict with us, face to face. That's the only time that we should have any kind of action towards another to try to resolve in the peacefulest manner possible, without it being something that's detrimental to one another. That's why, like I said, I was raised Christian, and that's why Christ taught them how to pray, and praying is important. But if we're praying and affirming that somebody's got something wrong with them or some kind of a condition, what are we doing? Are we adding to it? Do we know? Do you know the power that you hold? Do you know what is within you? Do you know the strength? Do you know what you're able to do in the unseen realm that then becomes part of our physical realm? Do you know by, these groups that keep things quiet and do things in secret, they've got the power of the mighty dollar behind them to put things out on media, news, television, and different formats there to get people to believe such things. And once you believe it, and there's no doubt, it manifests. And it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart to see things come into fruition when we know that it is part of this an agenda of somebody that doesn't always have the highest intentions for everybody. So that's why it's so important for each of us to take our position, transmute the energies that come in that need that hug and a kiss and be repurposed out. If people don't accept the energies because it's always a sovereign choice, then the energy keeps moving forward, out and out and out until it's completely dispersed out into the nature of how you have repurposed it. Again, I'm going to remind you energy is neutral, comes to us in a neutral pack, and therefore our intentions is what puts out how that energy will manifest out into our space, into our realm, into our reality. Um, your wife's birthday was Friday the 7th, and your fifth anniversary was Saturday, and your birthday was Sunday. Yes, I saw that you said that you had a birthday and your wife's and a fifth anniversary. Wow, it was like total celebration time for you, Michael. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Did you get some nice presents? Did you get her some nice presents? It's awesome. Leave one's mind open without being stuck in a thought mindset. Yes, yes, flow. We need to be flowing, and always growing. Um, Doc, you want to call in and share your testimony about the temple? I think that would be really awesome. Or actually, anybody can call. The phones are open, and I told you guys that I would make sure I did a call-in share show because I want to know how did Lionsgate go for you, what's going on in your world, because I've been pretty much absentee from YouTube. I've caught maybe I've jumped in maybe two different live streams in the past couple of weeks. A lot going on over here, you guys. I mean, whew, a lot going on in such a TikTok time, and it's time. It's time to start healing our hearts and moving forward. We've got lots to do, lots going on, lots of awesome people, meeting awesome people. We're no longer in divide and conquer, you guys. We are in a new age after all. We're in the age of Aquarius, the water bearer. So it's time for us to get into that new way of thinking, walking into that new earth, having the heavens roll back like a scroll, seeing the new heavens and walking on that new earth. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people already walking on the new earth. And sometimes, we slip back to the old and then we go back to the new. Once you've reached a certain level of awareness, even when we fall, we get back up. It doesn't mean you lose your vibrational vortex. It doesn't negate any of those type of things. None of that is taken away. Once you've reached a certain level, you will attain it again. It is a scale. It is colorful. It's the colors of the rainbow that are within us. I do want to talk a little bit about grounding because that came up in the last stream too. I touched on it a little bit about how to ground out because you guys, even though we've got all of this going on in the unseen realm, we need to be able to ground out and apply it into the physical realm. And a lot of the grounding things that I do, I will go swimming and physically get in the water and swim. I will walk in the grass barefoot and ground out, wiggle my toes in the soil, touch plants and flowers, grounding myself out so I'm not floating around, and some people would call it spooky spiritual, because once you start seeing the unseen realm and it becomes a part of your everyday life, you have to be able to discern what is physically really there and what is in the unseen realm that is about to manifest and appear. You need to be able to discern the difference, and a good grounding out helps you to discern what is in the spiritual unseen realm yet to come about into this paradigm. Although it's always the now moment, we can see things in the unseen realm that are about to take fruition in this realm. Um, I hate to bring these guys up again, but let's talk about those Illuminati play deck cards. Okay, they're able to see in the unseen realm. Well, if we look at those cards, it's kind of an announcement, right? When you're awakened and you understand and understand within you, you can look at those cards and you can push back to not bring those things into fruition. Just like when I was talking about people who will have a catastrophe type of a dream and they'll think it's prophetic and they're sharing it, and a bunch of people will be listening and coming into agreement. We peek our head in, we see what's going on, and then we send out a frequency, an energy, repurpose that energy so that such things don't befall our brothers and sisters. Nobody wants it to be them, after all, right? Do you want it to be you that is suffering from such catastrophe? It's always okay to have the dream about it and talk about it and say that it's going to be in another country. But when you say that it's going to be in your backyard, we don't want to hear about that. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter where the location is. If we're talking about it, if we are putting faith in it, if we are giving our thought process and attention to it, we are partially responsible when it comes to pass. We cannot say that we're completely innocent on that, especially when we're listening to such things in agreement, saying, yes, that must come to pass, and these people need to go through this suffering or this loss. And no, no, no. We need to be pushing out always to our brothers and sisters peace, abundance, and unconditional love. It's a love that's beyond comprehension. It's beyond it's what would be called agape, the love that God has. We can't comprehend it in the state, in the physical form. But what we can do is to know that we are each brothers and sisters, and to love and respect each other as such, just like any sibling that you would at home, or, okay, we got a caller. Hold on a second. Oh, did I not do it right? Okay. Okay. Yeah, hang on, Madison. Let me turn you on who am I talking to? Hey, Patrick, let me turn on the desktop audio so they can hear it. Now speak.
Okay.
Okay, they got you.
Oh, great. Wow. So I just wanted to call, and I'm just listening to everything you're talking about, and I just wanted to call, and I hope everything is going well with you and your husband and out there. I just got done moving to a different studio here in Madison, and now I'm organizing things in the new place.
Okay. I moved me out of the way, so I hope did I spell your channel name right? Let me go check.
What?
Yeah.
Is my voice too quiet? Okay.
No. I put your channel, I put your name and channel up on there. I want to make sure I spelled it right.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. So I hope you're well and relatively about everything that's going on, and if not better. I'm reading a book called The Blank Canvas by Anna Held Audette. Nothing, in particular. I'm just improvising at the moment, and I figured since nobody was, I thought
You're so sweet.
if I call, then maybe somebody else will call.
Well, yeah, and I haven't really been around, for the past few weeks because, because of all of this that's been going on. And I'm telling you, for us, this has went by quickly. It was completely a communication breakdown, And
Oh.
as soon as they knew that it was their department that needed to take action, they called the district attorney,
Oh.
got back with me within 24 hours, and 24 hours later had already and one that was off grid
Oh.
had already picked them up, and they've already had their first court appearance, and this is going to
Oh.
go into
What?
resolve quickly so we can heal.
For court appearance? I can't believe they went that far.
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, now, I could interpret that as good or bad.
Well, when you get picked up or
That's
arrested,
good?
you get a what they call an arraignment hearing, and
Yeah.
they set your bond when they pick you up, and when you go to your arraignment, they read the charges, they find out if you need an attorney, and sometimes they can reduce your bond, or they can increase your bond, or they can let you out on your own recognizance or whatever. Well,
Right. And
none
since
of that
they
happened.
don't-
The bond is very high. I don't think they'll be getting out, which will help for the trial and all of that to go by much faster, because you can't keep
Yeah.
people in. You know, when
I-
you're in, you have certain rights, and they have the right to get the
Yeah.
to get this stuff done and moving.
I personally don't think they have a case, and I think it's I think it's just a scam. It's like a way to take money, and I think it's very obnoxious. I don't think you did anything to my
Oh no, not that.
I don't
That-
want to.
That's over with,
What?
hun. No. I'm talking about.
Oh, good.
I'm talking
Oh,
about
good.
my daughter. When my daughter was killed.
Oh,
My-
your daughter.
Remember,
Okay.
remember, my daughter was killed on
Yeah.
April 26th of 2019, and
Oh.
there had been no action on the case in 16 months, and I
Yeah.
just didn't know what the heck, So that's why I've been pretty absent from YouTube and even Facebook. The only person that I really even let know about it was
Yeah,
Dead
this person.
Dead GPK, because to keep an eye on
Yeah.
things, because we were, it happened so fast.
Yeah.
The DA contacted me on the Thursday the week prior, and told me, if I chose to, I could call over there. And I had to really think about that. Who am I to call over and tell you how to do your job or whatnot? Well, I finally got the courage up, and I called on Monday. And like I said, on Tuesday, they called me back, and they had called the district attorney and confirmed everything. And by Wednesday, they had them picked up. They assigned some special, they call it a task force. They have this task force, because now, mind you, one of them is off grid. He didn't even have an ID on him at when the crash happened that killed my daughter. So they didn't know what his name was, or who he was, or where he lived, because he didn't have an address.
No, I didn't.
They got him.
I didn't know the detail. Was there another car involved that pulled in front of her?
The vehicle that my daughter was in was T-boned by a truck.
T-bone. What's T-bone?
Means that they hit center mass in the vehicle she was in, and they impacted the vehicle right where she was sitting. So the vehicle
from the side.
yeah,
the side.
right where she was sitting.
Right.
Yeah, and it just
Were they
buckled
going
in
through
on her.
a red light? Were they going through a red light, or?
No. It was an exit off of a highway, and they stopped,
Okay.
and there was a semi truck that was making a right hand turn into a 2-lane, and then so a semi truck swerves out. They swerve out heavy, and they'll actually, because they need to straighten their trailers out, so they will go into the left lane. Well, the truck went around into the dirt. He didn't slow down, and he slammed into the side of them. They were almost through the intersection when the impact happened, and drug the car, halfway across the bridge of the intersection before it came to rest. So we'll see. They're going to meet with me. The district attorney's going to meet with me before the trial. He's going to go through all the evidence and everything. So it won't be so hard on my heart to see the images, because they're going to have evidence and pictures, and they're going to be presenting their case on this incident that took her life. And
Yeah.
so he's going to go through it with me first before the trial begins. And I have a right to be in there. I am there to stand on behalf of my daughter, and I have to start putting together a statement. I have to do a statement to
Okay.
address the court. So, a lot is
Yeah.
going on, and like I said, there was nothing was going on for 16 months. So we were in like this holding pattern. We couldn't heal. We couldn't move forward. We were stuck because we knew going through all of this was going to rip our hearts to shreds again. So we're going to, it's going to do a lot of good for healing. And to tell you the truth, Patrick, I'm not looking for justice. I'm not looking for vengeance. I'm looking for this
Good.
to
Yeah.
be over. And when it's be in the past,
Yeah.
we want the truth, and we just want to begin going through the healing process within the family. So,
Yeah.
and this is something that we've been waiting on for a very long time. So that's why I have really not been around. As for that other deal, I let all
Yeah.
of that go. I just like purged all that because that's
Right.
meaningless stuff. That's garbage
Yeah.
that I
I
was
think
holding too close. I
it
just
is.
needed to.
It's a vicious circle, and just talking about it, I don't think really helps. I think it kind of just raises more
No, it's all
questions.
that's done. That's you know what, I don't
Yeah.
I could there's nothing there. There's no substance. So I'm not,
No.
that's like the furthest thing. This is so much
Good. Good.
bigger.
Okay. I didn't want to talk about that. I
Yeah.
just wanted to call and wish you well, and
Yeah, this is so much
I,
bigger. I mean, come on, we're talking about my
yeah.
child here now. That's gonna take front seat over any shenanigans or immature stuff on. Come on. But I know that you're deep, and I know that you are very interesting and perplexing, and an artist. And he puts up videos with music and art. And are you still doing
That's
music?
my
And
therapy. I mean, the music and my art is well, no, I think therapy isn't the right word, but it makes life more enjoyable, and it's something I do. Hopefully, it inspires some people. And it's just background music. It isn't like the kind of music where you pay close attention to. It's just kind of background abstraction. But mainly, I'm an visual artist, and I was just telling Doc Michael about a volunteer job I'm doing for disabled kids at this building. Yeah, and I hope they
wow.
have me back. I mean, I dressed formal like a teacher, and because I wanted to look professional, even though it's a volunteer job. I thought it'd be a good experience, and at least helping some, doing something.
That
So,
is wonderful.
yeah, yeah, and
You're
I thought
awake
about
and
my
activate. You're activated.
awake and activate. Yes.
Yes, that's awesome. I love it. I'm sorry, I got too excited. Because that's exactly
Yeah,
what we should be doing. That's exactly.
and I thought about, yes, and I keep thinking of, like, when I'm there, I think about my high school art teacher, Mr. Panaro, and my other art teacher, Cesar de Flores, and that's kind of like my guide for when I go into it, and I tried. Well, we'll see how it goes. I won't. I don't want to. I'll bring it up after I hear from the lady that I have to talk to.
About it being like
But
a
otherwise,
permanent position?
yeah. I'm
Well,
sorry.
are you wanting, or otherwise for it to be like a permanent position, like of
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. So I want to just see where it goes and try to build it up as something that I can do without all the degree or the.
Is that what you want?
I've never taken classes to be a teacher at all.
Well, okay,
So
art is something that's in your, like, it's in
yeah,
you second nature. So art
yeah,
is something that is I don't know, I think of it as a gift. So
hmm
if this is something that you're desiring, you're already doing it.
yeah,
So you know
yeah.
you want
Well,
it.
I
It's gonna
want to help
happen.
people, yeah, and I like to interact. I like to be with people. I feel more alive. And
Yes.
it's been. I mean, I was really isolated since 2001, even before the Mandela effect and the Corona thing. So I definitely need to just be more involved with people, and
In
being a
service to
cashier at a
others.
grocery is it isn't who I am. And, I mean, it feels like a robot, and that's what I've been doing for a long time.
I
But enough about me.
No,
I just
that's what
appreciate your show.
you're calling in and sharing. It's a call and share show. So
Yeah, sure.
okay, I'm already visualizing this, and
Uh-huh.
what a random act of kindness, and what a beautiful thing that you have manifested in your life that is benefiting those that, I mean, oh my gosh, this is wow.
And
I
because I always felt sad around anyone that's disabled or blind or has some terrible debilitating physical where
mhm.
they have to be in a wheelchair and I think art has always helped me. So how can I utilize it to help others? You know?
That is
I
so
can teach figurative art. I can teach a person who says they can't draw to 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 go to the next step, and instead of making a stick figure, to make a figurative outline of the arms and legs and the hands and the eyes. Just and then develop it from there. And
uh,
I don't feel really assertive about it because it's something that I'm still figuring out in my mind as to how to, because I'm seeing several different ways I could teach art, either in figurative style or in symmetry or in, depending on the student too. I mean, one of the kids had a specific favorite cartoon that he liked to draw, and it wasn't one that I was familiar with, but I studied it, and then I kind of looked at some of their previous work just to kind of see how they could maybe um,
sorry.
mainly just to enjoy it though, because it doesn't have to be like like a formal kind of teach. It's for them to just really enjoy the process of drawing, because that's the first thing to make it improve.
How do you feel when you are there working with the children?
Oh, I I feel like I'm one of the student. I mean, I'm like a student being a teacher. That's how I feel,
Like
and
a
that's funny
equal.
because I don't feel like a teacher. I just feel like somebody that enjoys drawing, and I'm just giving them perspective from what I do, and then looking at where they're at and see how maybe I could bridge, something that might give them an idea or spark an idea.
So do you feel the joy that you're bringing to
Yeah,
them? Yeah.
yeah, and it reminds me of Caesar and Mr. Pinaro, my teachers who are great, who they made it really fun. I mean, they had a great attitude and spirit and humor, and that makes all the difference for a teacher. And I can't compare myself to that, but I just think of that when I. But
Why?
I'm hoping that they'll keep me um, because it is Madison. Madison's very like college town, and everyone's kind of. It isn't as liberal as where I'm from in Milwaukee, and it's a little more. I don't know what the right word is. It's sort of academic prudeness.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they'll just see see that it is something that I really enjoy. So we'll see what happens.
Well, you know, you may find this synchronistic, but
yeah,
my mom,
yeah,
she taught disabled children for years, and actually she got her master's degree in special education. She,
yeah,
so when even in the high school, but she worked at a school where these children were very low functioning, and actually they were like even up to adult age and stuff. But I'm going to tell you that I would go in and help and volunteer, and I'll tell you the innocence and the purity of the gratitude and the love that comes off of these people, these children or adults, and the gratitude that they have for the time that you're taking and the interaction that you're having with them to teach them something as beautiful as what you have to offer. Don't think that the school is looking for papers and degrees. They're watching how you're interacting with and how the children are interacting with you. You'll be amazed to find out what is
I mean, I
come
just
from this.
smile and say hi and how are you? What's your name? And what are some of your favorite artists and heroes and cartoons? What I have to think of more ways to present my for that next class. So
I'm so happy for you.
Anyway,
I am. How long have you been doing this?
I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I kind of just called without knowing what I was going to talk about.
Well, you know me. I can do a conversation, no problem, because I'm interested in every area, because everything counts. Everything matters.
It's encouraging. It's encouraging to me, so I appreciate it.
How long have you been doing this now?
Not very long. Only on 3 occasions, and the lady, I kind of got the impression, that this is, right. They kind of accept people when they need someone, and it might have a different class, different set of people each time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was kind of hoping more it would just be the same, because then I can concentrate their work and see how it can, evolve or improve. So right now, it's kind of just we'll just see what happens, and I think if I'm more assertive, they'll have me back. I have to.
I think they're going to have you back anyways,
I have to
you love it too much. It's not.
I have to put my foot down and say, yes, I can do this. I'm good at this.
Yes.
I know I can do it.
Yes.
Without being,
Yeah, remove that doubt.
Over.
Remove it, because there's many of us that can see the beauty in your art and how much you have to offer. And I'm going to tell you, you can't get an education in what you're applying there. This is something that you have the natural ability.
I think I need to take a speech class, because I've always had a problem with articulation or speaking clearly. I don't have a good auditive voice, so that's my weakness. And so if I take a speech class and on the 101 level, I think that would help greatly.
There you go. And you could probably take that at any junior college, or just one class, and have that done in no time with very little cost, and get some security in your describing what you're trying to describe, and affirming with your voice and your tone on what you're trying to articulate. I mean, I am so happy for you.
Because most people I know are confident, and it's been I don't know what that is. I don't know why I'm not. I'm not confident. I'm just maybe because of post trauma, or I'm not sure why. But I keep trying, and sometimes I can't. I think I'm more self conscious since I'm on the phone with the computer. I think I'm maybe more confident when I don't feel self conscious. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I try to get you as relaxed as I
Yeah.
possibly can because it's just you and I talking here. And you know, I'm going to tell you that
Yeah.
just having these things manifesting within your life is it's beautiful in
Yeah.
itself, and the random acts of kindness, the blessings you're bestowing upon
Yeah, and it makes me want to do. If the lady doesn't have me back, I'm not gonna stop looking for other. I'm gonna ask them, well, what else can I do? I mean, is there something else? While I'm at it, and we'll see what else they might have. But I think they'll take me back. I don't want to. I don't want to lose hope on that.
well, and you know, you're
I,
Mandela affected, right? Okay, I know you're Mandela
yeah.
affected. You have a whole
Oh
room
yeah.
Mandela
Very,
affected. So
very, very.
so what good is a degree? I mean,
I
let's
have
be honest
I have
about
some
it.
personal Mandela effects too. My genealogy changed on my mom's side. It was very weird. Did I tell you this already? I won't
No,
repeat it if I did.
no.
Well, yeah. See, because my parents are really into genealogy study, like since their early 30s, and it was always my mom's sort of into all the various branches going all over the place. She has these huge folders and files, and she keeps track of all this stuff. We were related to the Huron Indians, and they always told me that it was the Huron Indians until the Mandela effect began. And one day they were discussing something, and I overheard her say Algonquin. And I said, "So what do you mean Algonquin? We're Huron." And she was like, "What are you talking about? It's always been Algonquin." And I was like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
So strange. I was like, "It was never Algonquin. You never said that. It's always Huron." So that changed for me. Because our French explorer relative from way back, like 1600s, married an Indian slave who was a Huron. Except now, in this reality, she's an Algonquin. So that's one of my personal mental effects.
Oh, you
And that
think?
was
That's
in
pretty darn
20.
personal. That's like directly
Yeah,
impacting you personally. Wow.
that's a whole change of slight change anyway. But yeah, on our French Indian side, so that's one of the craziest changes for me.
Where I was going with
They
the
did.
education.
They always said Huron. They never once said Algonquin, ever.
Well, you know, I've got my degree in business with my minor in accounting, right? Well, okay, my
Yeah,
humanities classes, I took art history. Well, that's
yeah,
changed. And then, of course, we have to take our core classes. American history, well, that's changed. And then global history, that's changed. The spelling of
huh,
words, that's changed. The only thing
wow,
that, you know, so far that I can still hold on to that I learned while I was in college is math.
mm,
Just the math
yeah,
seems to be the only thing that's still a constant. But everything else, like the geography and you know human anatomy was my non-lab science course that I took,
uh-huh,
and
yeah,
that's changed. I mean, come on. So I look at my degree and I'm like, yeah, I remember. And I look at the books and, you know, of course the books are different now than what I learned when I
yeah,
was in there because now they reflect what it is now. But so
wow,
to say, you know, that you think you need a degree, it's like, well, what good is that degree when everything that we learned is different? I mean, I
oh,
laugh about it now because you really have to, as we are becoming more and more observant, and being able to see such changes, seeing this place as it flows, it's become more and more obvious to so many of us that it did seem like it was more fixed and steady before, but was it, or were we just not aware of it? What's your thoughts on that?
I I think parts of, yeah, I think things like technical things of interests and subjects, maybe I'm even seeing things differently in uh, my interest, and the things that I'm able to understand might not be the same. Um, maybe it's a way of like jolting us out of stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about, well, why am I one of the Mandela affected? I mean, I don't seem like a likely candidate for something like that.
None of us do. We're
And
just
and
average,
I thought,
everyday
well,
people.
yeah, none of us do. And I thought, well, what if I was in a stagnant pattern, and this happens to souls that get into a rut, and it kind of just to kind of wake us up out of our typical ways.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So,
and
what are your thoughts? Do you
but
think it's
then
always been like this and we are just becoming aware of it? Or did it all of a sudden change into this? And you don't have to be 100% right. I'm asking your opinion.
I think the way Earth nature is, that the way the cosmos, I think it is, it isn't a coincidence, and yet it is an accident, and yet it isn't. So it's a paradox. We have two realities that are true, yet they contradict each other, and then there's the third. I was thinking about this last night. I was talking to somebody. The third is what we usually don't look to as the truth. The first and the second reality, which contradict,
Mm. Yeah, I
um,
think.
become we get distracted by those two things because we're not taking into consideration the third element, which would be something that enables those two realities to exist. That's what we should be looking to. What enables the paradox of the contradicting truths?
So it's actually congruent.
Right. So that
Gotcha.
it isn't that there. Yeah, that
So
is
where
awesome.
we are at is like we are in that center with the congruency of it so we can see the flowing nature. When we were knocked off and incongruent, we were either on one side or the other thinking fixed, but now
Yeah.
we're congruent and we're in the center seeing both
The
spectrums.
center and outside. So the source that is enabling the two contradicting truths, or that seem contrary, um, yet are both true at the same time, are stemming from the the main trunk of the, what enables those two truths to exist. Like, for example, you have reincarnate. Some people who follow the way of reincarnation and accept that as a reality, and some who follow the non-assumption of Buddhism or Christian or the faith in Christ, and
Hmm.
a lot of people think it's all one or the other, and the same with scientific truths, that since we're in different timelines, the science or the genetics or the physics could actually be different in each timeline. So it doesn't have the same. So one law of physics could be slightly different in anyway. I don't mean to.
No,
Just
no,
brings up a lot of subjects.
no,
So
no. You're going deep on me. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's what
So
That's
I
what we
think,
want to hear. Is in the
yeah,
it's there's depth. There's a lot more to this place than we ever once thought. We are so deep and complex. We are much more than we ever thought, and we have so much more say so in what goes on through our thoughts, through our heart, through our mind, through the alignment and our intentions and our imagination. Artists especially have
yeah,
such an imagination within them that you can be sitting there being one yourself, and your mind is drawing or painting. In your mind you're creating, you're constantly creating, and then at times
right.
you put it into action, you put it into paper, you put it into a tangible physical thing. So being an artist, and they say, what do they say, they're eclectic, or oh, what's the word that I'm thinking of,
Um,
eccentric, right? Is it artists are eccentric. They're not
yeah,
eccentric, they're more in touch with being congruent than people that are more fixed or have dug their heels into that this place is fixed and immovable, where an artist is actually, they are actually congruent and flowing and able to move and flow more easily because you've got that imagination, going and flowing at all times.
and everyone I mean, everyone. It's just a matter of interest, or some people just feel their priorities of practical living. They don't have time to pursue their creative side. So it isn't. Some just don't really have a choice, or at an early age they kind of just cut off those branches of their potential because it would be, like I could have pursued other things, but the interest has to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think um, I don't use the word talent. I think it's just whatever interest you pursue it with over time. It's going to get better, and at the very least, it just becomes more of your identity, what you how you see yourself, and how you see life through. Like if someone's a gourmet chef,
Mm-hmm.
their whole life revolves around their cooking, and the family and friends and the people that they cook for, they take great pride in that. Um, my friend Gilly is an auto mechanic, and it's like he takes great pride because he knows everything about a car that can go wrong, and he's able to, he knows exactly what to do. If a window breaks inside the door, he knows how to take it out and all that stuff.
Well, and see, doesn't that make it even more beautiful how unique we each are? How much
Yeah.
we each have to offer. We have something different, and that's what also
Hmm.
keeps this place so interesting and so beautiful, is that we're not all cookie cutouts of one another. We all have
Right.
we all
Thank
have
you.
something
Oh, I'm
different
so
to,
glad.
so
That
different to offer. Yes.
that would be that would be a nightmare if people were all like, if there was just like
Like your
15
dream.
versions of this. Yeah, like the Twilight Zone episode
Like that dream
where
that you had where
where you
everybody was
you
wearing that
choose your
plastic,
person.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That was like your nightmare of where we were headed.
yeah. Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
have
Do you have
you?
another call,
No, have you seen me yet? Because I've seen you, but I don't. I don't.
guys?
I don't
Call
think.
in Michelle.
Yeah, but I don't think you recognized me. You did. You
Who?
didn't. You didn't recognize me.
I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
No, I seen you in
Where?
Dreamtime. We went.
Dream time. Oh, in the dream. That's right. We were gonna. I was trying to. I did see last night I saw one of the waitresses I worked with in the '90s, Liz. and I don't recall seeing you. No, not in the. Not
I'm not.
since we
I
talked
didn't
about
look
that.
like me. You made me look like somebody else.
Oh, oh,
To,
you were somebody else?
you made me look like somebody else to keep you comfortable. It was for,
No, I
yeah, yeah.
wouldn't do
You.
that.
Yes, I
No,
think it was so
I
you
would
didn't get
I would actually
scared.
want to know. I would definitely say, Michelle, it's you. Hi. I can't
Okay,
believe this is
well,
happening.
I'm
I
gonna
would be
ask.
surprised.
I'm gonna ask you now. Have you had a dream lately where you started off
Okay.
in water and then you ended up in the air, and then we ended up
Water.
in a like it was like a little coffee shop, and then from
Coffee shop.
there we went up into the like outer like we were like way high off of the earth looking down upon it,
Wow.
but we couldn't get high enough.
Wait, you remember seeing me?
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
You saw me.
yeah. I met
Okay.
you. I met up with
And,
you.
okay, so you did. But see, this is something you're very good at. This, dreaming for me doesn't. I don't feel like the whole subject of tonight's show. To be in control. I mean, to be in control of your thoughts during a dream is even harder.
Well, we're all
For
dream
me,
workers.
'cause-
All of us are. We all do work in
yeah,
our dreams. But we went. It was just for
yeah,
fun. We went for fun, and
yeah. Huh.
we went to such different, diverse places. You're probably gonna get
So
off of the phone,
we
and you're
went up.
gonna go.
What happened?
You're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, I do remember that," because, like I said, we started in the
Maybe.
water, and then it took us from
I do
water.
remember a I remember a cafe
Hmm.
because that's where I saw Liz, who was the person I worked with,
That's probably who
and
you had
I
me look like. I
I
don't
thought
know.
it was really her. I thought it was actually Liz. But so anyway, so we went up into the air,
We started in the water. We started in the
the
water,
water.
and then we went up
Okay.
into the air. Okay, and then we went
Like
into
like
like a little.
did we
We were flying.
how did we did move our arms or just automatically like
I just
levitate?
grabbed your hand and we zoomed, zoom, zoom, zoom.
Really?
Uh huh. And then we went to a coffee shop,
Huh.
and we were sitting there and
Okay.
we were talking, and then we took
Uh-huh.
off. We went really really high. I mean really high, like up into the sky, and we were looking back down onto the earth, and we were talking to
The
each
Earth?
other.
Okay.
We were talking to each other, and we were saying
Huh.
we can't get high enough in order to see the whole thing. We can't get high enough, and then that's when I left. I left you. Um, I
Oh.
mean, you weren't in harm's
That's when
way
you
or
woke up.
anything. No, I left you. I
Oh.
continued.
Oh, you just went on to another place.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I had my
Sure.
meeting with you,
Oh.
and then we
You
did
know
our
what that
thing.
reminds me of? Remember in the movie Adventures of Baron von Munchausen, where Robin Williams goes up in a boat, or they're traveling up in a sky boat. It's like a ancient ship that's going into space, and it lands on the moon. Did you see that movie?
No.
And that's where they meet Robin Williams, who lives on the moon with this princess whose head spins off. Oh, it's a must-see movie.
Oh my
And
gosh, you're gonna
that's
have
a
to
Man-
give me a link. I'm
You know,
definitely.
that's a Mandela effect too, because originally it was called The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen, but in this reality, it's Baron Munchausen without the von. The von disappeared.
Wow. Well, we weren't in a boat. It was just you
it
and
was
me.
one of my favorite movies, so I'm positive it had the von. Baron von Munchausen.
Don't be
Unforgettable.
don't be surprised now if you begin to move about in your dreams more effortlessly because
Oh,
of
interesting.
because we went, like I said, from the water, just grabbed
Yeah.
onto you, and we were zooming we didn't have to flap our arms. There wasn't any effort that we would think would be needed physically in order
Interesting.
to
So
move about
there
within the
wasn't
dream.
there wasn't like swimming or guiding. It was more like just
Nope.
moving from space.
We were in the water, So
Yeah.
we were in the water, and then we just grabbed onto each other's like hands or
Huh.
wrists, and then boom, we were flying around. Like I said, then we went to this little
Did,
like
did you
coffee shop.
I mean, how did you recognize me? Were you what did I look like, or did you just know it was me somehow?
Well, I
Like,
went looking for you.
uh,
I set my intentions
oh,
when I was laying down. I set my
oh,
intentions. I'm like, okay, I already know through the prayer and meditation and that this has already happened. Okay, well, let's do it. Let's do it. I want to see it. I want to see how this is actually going to transpire.
oh,
And then
wow.
I went off to sleep. Like when I do things like that, it's really weird because of I was hit by that drunk driver, which broke my T spine and broke my neck.
Yeah,
Okay, so
you
it
got
takes
hurt
me
by the.
a little bit of time to fall asleep. Now this stuff is healing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've lost weight. I'm moving around. I'm doing fantastic. I never ever thought I would be in the condition or in the shape that
Oh,
I'm
that.
in now. That
Yeah, after
I,
that.
yeah,
Wow.
I was heading into that scooter chair, like I said, that was remote controlled. But here I am, not in a scooter chair, not even on a cane anymore. My goodness gracious. But
Oh,
anyways,
that's awesome.
so but it
Congratulations.
still
I'm
takes me
so
a little
glad to hear
time
that.
to get
Yeah,
comfortable to fall asleep, to drift off to sleep. Well, whenever I'm
yeah.
going to take a little journey or something, it seems like I will do my prayer, which I say is speaking, and then meditating is when I'm listening. Well, I'll say
Yeah.
set my intentions or my prayer, and then my head hit the pillow and I was gone. And then there you were in the water, and I went up to in the water. It seemed like ocean water, so like we were out in the midst of the ocean. Playing, just playing around out there. Like we didn't have any fear that, oh my gosh, we're so far from shore. It was nothing like that. We were playing, and you appeared to me as you have dark, curlyish hair, brown eyes. You're beautiful. I
No,
mean,
I have blue green eyes.
okay. Well, in my dream,
Anyway, in the
they were
dream, yeah.
brown. Uh huh. They were brownish. Well,
Yep.
this is how you appeared to me. You had
Interesting.
like brown
Sure.
curlyish hair, and you
Huh.
had brownish and tan, like sun kissed, golden, perfect skin that glistened. Um, so I'm not. I'm sure I didn't see you in your physical body. I saw you in
Yeah.
your other
A
essence,
spirit.
but
It was like a spirit body. Okay.
kind
Yeah.
of, but a way that it portrayed where I could recognize
What?
you.
Oh.
I was able to recognize that it was you, but oh my goodness gracious, you're like really super tall and very very
What?
beautiful. Um, eh,
Oh.
yeah, well, that has to do.
I always wanted no, because I always wanted to be tall.
Okay, you are in that realm, but I didn't feel like I was really short by you either, so that's kind of odd. But I didn't feel like it wasn't like you were higher than, less than. It wasn't that kind of a feeling, but you were beautiful. Like I said, your skin looked it was brown, like sun kissed golden, but it's shimmery,
Huh.
like sparkly shimmery. I don't know. And then
Huh.
we were playing in the water, and I know it was you. I know it was
Huh.
you because I recognized your energy signature, and then we just grabbed onto each other's hands or onto our wrists, and whew, we went off up into the air, and we
Mhm.
were flying, and it was wonderful. So just
That sounds great. Wow.
if you find
And you
yourself
do this,
flowing
like
more.
you meet other, like you're able to sort of you direct people in this. What do you call this? This is astral projection,
Mm, I
or
wouldn't. I
there's
wouldn't.
another word.
Astral
There's a,
projection is
starts
a
with
little
a T.
different.
Technic. Forget it. I forget what it's
Tantric,
called. I was because what is it?
in tandem or tantric.
No, it was in the 80s. I had a book about it was about lucid dreaming, controlling your dreams, and it starts with a T, and it is a two-syllable word, and I can't think of it. I'll have to look for the book.
See, I'm completely
Anyway,
homegrown, so I'm not. I haven't read a bunch of like spiritualist books or
okay,
things of that. I'm a homegrown, natural. So the
yeah,
terms that I say may not be the right exact label or word, but then later it may come
yeah.
across,
It
into.
gets in the way. It does get in the way because it is it's more of just an action kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Uh,
but I would
and
say like when
yeah,
I'm talking about doing like astro projection, like my
yeah.
entire inner body does like a hum, like a vibrational like, and I project, and that's when I'll go to someplace else, and I'll see something, or I'll do something, and it'll seem like I'm there for hours or even days. But then when I wake up here, it's
I've
only been
had
like
no. I
15 minutes.
have had dreams that felt like they were like a month of time in one night, and I woke up and it's like it wasn't just 8 hours. I mean, that was days and days went on in that dream, and in one, and then a lot of times they continue the next night, and because I keep seeing the same kind of environments,
Do
so
you
that's
ever
telling me something.
you ever wonder if right now, if we're in the
Yeah.
dream and that when we're asleep we're actually awake?
No, this always feels more real. Like to me, the dream. I
You're
wish
so
it was
funny.
that way, but the dream
Sometimes
always
it can
feels
be
less
so,
less
sometimes it
fresh,
can be
less
very
logical.
confusing, especially when I feel that energetic buzz from
However,
within and I go somewhere
no,
that
mm,
physically feels real. It's more vivid, it's more
no,
colorful, it's more tangible. The sense,
yeah,
everything
the
there is more real.
deeper dreams feel more real. The ones I don't remember, like when we're at the deepest level of sleep, that's when we get the best sleep, and I believe that's the more spiritual level of dreams.
Theta?
Um, and that is what you're able to remember because you've disciplined your mind to be able to you remember the deep level of dreaming. Whereas I usually just remember the parts when I'm coming back to just before coming back to my body. I I only remember the part in between. Where it's in between Earth and the dream dimension.
What I have learned how to do, Patrick, is I have
Yeah,
learned how to not remember pizza dreams. Those I
the
no
dream.
longer carry back with me at all. I don't carry any information back on any pizza dreams.
Oh,
So if
oh,
when I have dreams and I have memory of the
oh,
dreams, there's something there. There's either a parable, a lesson, or a future, or a decision, or something that is in the now moment that is transpiring. Because I used to remember all of them and not be able to figure out what
yeah.
was a pizza dream and what wasn't. But I think that
Wait,
was me teaching
did
myself
you
how to
pronounce
remember.
that? I thought you said pizza dream.
Yeah, pizza.
What
That
did you say?
Pizza. Pizza dream. Pizza dream is like
What?
I watch a movie, right? I watch a movie before I
Yeah.
go to bed, and then when I go to bed,
Uh,
that movie spills into my dream. Or like I have a conversation
oh, I
with my
see.
husband and
Yeah.
it's on my mind and it spills into
Oh,
my
it's
dream.
like filtering out a collage of
Yes.
your life. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Right.
that's a pizza dream. Okay, I get that now.
Pizza dream. Right,
Okay.
right. So
Yeah,
I filtered those out. But you got to
I
realize
see.
I've been a dream worker since what's
Yeah.
2000, late 2000, early 2001 is when I started
Uh,
leaving my body and became aware of this whole other realm of spectrum of reality of that is an essential part of our being. I mean, with
yeah.
that, I mean, that is an essential part. That is a part of the unseen realm of what that is
Yeah.
within. It's within everybody. Everybody has this, but
No.
like you were just explaining, you have a gift with art and you think that anybody can do that. Well, I think that anybody can do any of the things that I am able to do. A lot of the things I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
teach people how to do them. But then again, I'm not in front of or behind, I'm standing beside you,
Yeah.
because no matter what we offer to one another, it is to add beauty and culture and interest to this place. Uh, you know,
Hang on. I'm going to be right back. If you
okay.
want to just talk to hi everybody out there. I'll be right back.
And Doc
Okay.
says skin of bronze. That's kind of what it was like. His skin it was like bronze, like sun kissed, but perfectly. It was so beautiful, and it shimmered, and I don't know. It was. It's hard to describe what we see. When we see other people that we know, we have to know their energy, their energy signature, their heart, and then to be able to recognize. Now, he did show features that at first, so I could recognize, yeah, I'm with the right guy. But then, the shimmering, and then he was really tall and just absolutely beautiful. But we were supposed to do an adventure a while ago, and things happen and work has to be done, and always dream work or whatever energetic tasks or whatever our actual purpose, whether we're aware that we're doing them or not, we're doing them. So therefore, those will always have to come first, because it's in the betterment of all mankind. We do not want to be like the awakened ones that are putting out fear propaganda and things to get people to not even look into um, the inner beauty that is within every person. Every person has so much to offer to one another, and no two are alike. And that's part of this divine plan. Is this
Yeah.
is not meant to be boring. Oh, you're back. Okay, it's not meant to be boring.
Why are some souls twins, or I mean born with a twin or
Some
triplet?
people will say twin soul, but that's usually when they find like a soulmate. This is my understanding of it. Again, like I said,
Okay.
I don't read a bunch of spiritual books or
Okay. Yeah.
anything like
I mean,
that.
it's one of those questions that everybody
Oh,
wonders.
sure. And I have my
Understand?
own opinion on it. And the twin soul
Sure.
would be of the somebody that you meet in life, that you are just like, it's a divine appointment. They make you whole. They make you want to be the best version of yourself without trying to control or oppress you. It's like your other half. They complete you in a way of enhancing without overpowering or overshadowing your divinity. A lot of people refer to twin souls, or the divine twin, as their significant other. Um, Otherwise, unless I'm
What?
misunderstanding the question.
Yeah.
Were
What is
we?
the degree of accidents? Because well, like Elvis had a twin brother who was born stillborn,
Mhm.
and so that was an accident, physiological, spiritual. Like he was intended to have a life here, but then something unintended. So there's some degree, like with your daughter, for example. I mean, she wasn't intending to go out and get in a car crash. That was totally that was an act. So there is this ratio of accident, but the spiritual purpose is greater than all of that. But somehow, because we're in it's a half chaotic realm. Would you? Is that fair to say? Would you
Well,
like since there is this degree of darkness and suffering and all the bad stuff that happened in history?
the yin and the yang.
Um, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, would see that when we when when we're in a world that is less yang or less chaos, less dark, less suffering, that would be our sort of home. And then if we're like, well, and I know this sounds very simple. Why would what is the logic of how does it help anyone to be in this kind of world? Is this a punishment, or is this to make us stronger? Is this to make us wiser, or is this a jail for some? And some are doing volunteer work. They came here to be leaders of.
Oh, speaking of
I'm
volunteers.
I'm just because there's so many ways to look at this reality, and I'm just wondering what you're thinking now about what reality is, and why can't we just be in worlds that are not like flesh bodies, and not like robots either, but like some higher dimensional element where we don't have to eat food, things like that.
Well,
What do we have to earn that? We can't just live in a heavenly world. We have to go through this in order to develop the because the beings in heaven are so much more like maybe we would feel so inferior to them that we have to be in this kind of life.
well,
I hope that made sense.
I did want to mention that I think we've talked about this
Yeah.
before with like volunteers and stuff. I went
Yeah.
back and listened to my Beyond Quantum Healing session because right after I got my licensing, we practice on each other, and so
Yeah.
we recorded it and I listened back to it. I wish I would have like said put my tablet closer to me, but in that session I heard I said things that I do nothing about. So, like about Archangel Metatron, I did not know who the heck that was, and I also
Archangel. Yeah.
Metatron, yeah, and I've just recently found out that that there's a Metatron's cube that actually has every shape of creation that is within it, and it's within the sacred geometry, which of course is supposed to be taboo. But another thing that was said in there when she was questioning whoever was talking or what the situation, because you're in like a theta stage at that point when you're doing a Beyond Quantum Healing session. But it was said that I did volunteer to come here, and I'm like, what the heck, what did I volunteer to come here for? So I found that out
Yeah.
in there. It was
Interesting.
mm-hmm.
Well, I could see, yeah, because I mean, for anyone to just to be a parent, I think, is a sign of spiritual maturity and unselfish living and
Oh, yes.
unselfish thought. I mean,
Because the children come
because you're
first. Mm-hmm.
an artist can be a real selfish kind of person, and I don't see myself as like other artists. I'm kind of more of just a dreamer trying to figure out what's going on. I'm not in it for money or status or something. For me, it's just it's almost like a religion in itself. To dream or to express something that is unearthly. I think it's almost like a longing for well, I don't know. I hope it isn't selfish. I don't. And if it is, then I'm wondering, well, how can I use my art in an unselfish way?
Your art is unselfish in itself, and the self-abuse that we put upon ourselves because of this shame and the taboo and touch not, this is evil, this is bad, blah blah blah, all of these things
Yeah.
that have pushed us down to deny ourselves is part of the sickness that we are, we're filtering out at this time. Now, when people talk about
Yeah.
like the 5D Earth or New Earth, they think that
Uh-huh.
duality is going to be gone. Duality is not going to be gone, but what will be gone is divide and conquer. Those who wish to inflict harm on others through controlling or oppressing. Now, duality in itself is something that's beautiful. It shows unity in diversity. It's about respecting each other's culture and what each of us has to offer without bias. So having duality and having the
Yeah.
what the yin and the yang in balance is actually a beautiful thing. It's when that darkness became so dark that it became pain, suffering, death, and shame, and oppressing and controlling other divine sovereigns, where that part
Uh-huh.
is going to be coming to an end. Now, duality in itself
Uh-huh.
is not a bad thing, and we learn and we grow from each time we fall, how we get back up
Yeah.
and what we learn from it. And how can you express a higher high without knowing a little bit, at least from some experience, of a lower low? So, being homeless, for example, gives gratitude for a roof over your head. Being around children who just love you and appreciate what you're offering. Well, by being in isolation for so long and being an introvert for so long, the gratitude that you have for these beautiful children as you are offering such a wonderful talent that you hold to them. How can you have the gratitude if you didn't have that type of a duality type of an experience? That's what, when we go, like when people talk about 5D Earth or New Earth, if we think, and that was in my Beyond Quantum Healing session too, that people think that it's all going to be, it's going to be perfect, like perfect as in everybody's going to be just laughing and floating and giggling and no more learning for us. We're done. We did it. No, come on. We are eternal beings. We want to be growing, expanding, and stretching. Earth, the densest
Yeah.
place, has a line formed to come in to have such experience as what we gain from this place. It's absolutely astounding the soul growth that we get from having experienced this place. Now, it's always in free will. Either people will learn from it and grow and then adapt, or they'll dig their heels in and they'll stay put and they won't budge. It's free will. That's another thing about Earth, being that it is free will. Um, we each get to make the choice on whether we move along and grow and expand and move on to bigger and better things, which will
Yeah.
continue with the expansion, but not in such a dense form. I hope that makes sense. Because that was another
But
thing that was talked about in the Beyond Quantum Healing session. That I said was what I said to the practitioner was that people think that going into 5D, that it's going to be all sunshine and roses, but duality will still exist, but it's not going to be divide. It's no longer going to be divisive. It's going to be more in harmony with one another, working with one another, and broadening our horizons through what each of us has to offer through respect. It's going to be absolutely beautiful, don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
it is a progression, and those who are ready to move there will move on to
Yeah.
there.
So we should concentrate on what is our present circumstance. Not like me. I'm kind of an extreme case of somebody that from an early age was always kind of obsessed about the distant future beyond, and not really looking around me. And and there's variations of dream. There's all kinds of dreamers, and we're all kind of that way, more or less. And I just was head first into dreams, and at one point, I just kind of freaked out. I tried to take my life when I was 20, and that's a long story. Michael just brought up a really interesting in chat. He says
I wish you
somewhere
called
else
in.
it was. He says I woke up and I was on old Earth, and I met a kid named Theosis, and he
Michael
explained to me
Fontaine.
what happened to old Earth. You see that?
Yeah, Michael Fontaine. I was reading a message from Doc Michael about a dream that he had.
Yeah.
I wish you'd call, because you guys, it can hold 5 calls, and I'll hear you if you call in. Okay, let's see what Michael Fontaine says. Okay, I have wow, we have twins also, Michael. One boy,
Wow.
one girl
Oh, I
that
didn't know
are
that.
twins. Uh-huh.
Huh.
They're on my husband's side. Okay, he said that it was mostly about love. I woke up once somewhere else, and it was something else. And another time, I woke up and was on old Earth and met a kid named Thesis. Okay. He explained to me what happened to old Earth. Wow, what did he explain? Call in, Michael. Michael Fontaine. Michael Fontaine. Michael Fontaine. What? I like Michael. It's right there.
Yeah, Michael's great.
A lot of different experience. Yeah, and Doc Michaels just sent me a message of a dream that he just had, and he's got so many fantastic experience stories to share too, along with you, Pri. I mean, just
Yeah.
keep. I would just keep envisioning, this your passion. You're there already. You're doing it. It's activated in your life. You're loving it.
Yeah.
Keep. Do not so doubt at all in it. Just keep
We'll see
pressing
what
forward.
happens. I'm gonna
Yes.
call her and just to emphasize that I'm waiting to hear from her.
He said thesis is a college term. Yes, you have to write your master thesis to get your master's degree. You're very correct there, Michael Fontaine. Your master thesis. And then it has to be peer reviewed. Michelle, you can read my little story if you want. Oh, okay. Okay. It was just a couple nights ago. Are you not able to call in, Michael? Doc Michael? Or because I always wear Pri out.
Michael, call in.
Yeah, you can
I
go
want to hear
ahead.
about that.
You can go ahead and hang up. Did we answer everything, or did we discuss everything that you wanted to about the yin and the yang?
Yeah, Michelle. Thanks. More than enough. It's a very good talk, and I just wanted to get things rolling anyway. So I'm glad if someone else calls in.
And you know what? You are
to make the show more interesting.
You are interesting. Oh my gosh! And you are so amazing. I am so blessed to have you in my life. And think about it. Think about where you were in water, and then in the air, then at a coffee shop, and then we were like as far up, as far in the atmospheres we could go, and we couldn't get far enough to see the entire Earth.
Yeah.
No matter how high we went, we kept looking back, and we could not see the entire plane of existence, this entire realm. It was pretty fascinating because we went really high too. So you'll know, especially since
the funny thing is,
order of events.
In dreams, I have no fear of heights. In reality, I don't like heights at all.
Yeah.
I think it's because the flight ability removes all that. So it's more like it's almost like walking, where you're just moving through space. But
and you asking about were we flapping our arms and stuff? You may find that in your dream space now that you move around more freely at thought instead of thinking that it's physical. That just by your thought you move. So keep me posted.
Sometimes, do you ever go through buildings? I don't know why. Structures and buildings in dreams, I'm able to without damaging them. I mean,
Yeah.
because they're like metamorphic anyway, and it's almost like they're barriers, but at the same time they're translucent. They're anyway. That's
Yeah.
anyway. Thanks for chat, and
Do you
we'll talk
remember?
soon.
Hold on, let me answer that.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
remember a while ago when I was telling you that I was taught that I could go through walls and doors and I didn't need to grab the handle? I had no problem
Yeah.
with the window. I had no problem with the
Yeah.
wall
That's
and
the
then the door. But the roof, I always had a problem going through the going through the ceiling, knowing I had to go through the roof, and so it took them a while to teach me that none of it matters. Just go through it.
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so I'm talking about dream work,
I want.
you know.
Oh, I want to tell you on another call about my iceberg dream. I was on an iceberg with monks. They had these robed monks, and there was a library on the iceberg. I'll tell you the rest later.
No, 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 no! Don't you hang up. Wait, wait.
What?
Were you in the Akashic?
Okay.
Did you go to the Akashic?
What?
Did you go
What?
into Did you go into the Akashic? Did you go and drop off information? Okay, what did it look like on this iceberg?
Oh, okay. Well, the iceberg was just like white masses on water, and the monks didn't look like nothing special. Just robed monks, and the library was just bookshelf. It wasn't like a building. It was just bookshelves, and I had become lucid in the dream, which just means my earth consciousness was merging with my dream consciousness. I was becoming aware that I was in this dream because I was already in it before it was lucid, or before my earth awareness started to merge with the dream. I realized, and I wanted to remember something from any one of the books. So I reached to the shelf, and I was intending to write it down when I woke up. Whatever was on the page, I wanted to transfer it. I wanted to write it down as soon as because I knew that it was that kind of dream. It was like, wow, I gotta remember something from this. And I tried, but then something, when I woke up, prevented me, or wouldn't let me write it down. And that was all there is to the dream. So there's this thing
Interesting.
I call the dream police. It won't let you. Some things you can't bring over on the side. Whatever that means, if that means anything to you, I don't know what you make of that. But if you could do that, I would be really interested. Like if you write down a paragraph from a book that you see in a dream, or even a sentence, if they'll let you, I would be fascinated to read what you can transfer from the other side. Okay?
I'm just what has really caught my attention about what you're sharing is.
I won't assume that you can do this because I couldn't do it, and I don't think other people can do this.
I'm just
I
finding
think it'd be pretty
the
hard.
similarity in what you're describing, but
Yeah.
with what I call this Akashic, where the books of life are, where we will pop through and we'll only be there for a second. It's not like after to actually write anything down, and we drop off information in there. And if you get a chance to stop for a second and look around, that place is freaking amazing. It's
If
so
I'm there,
beautiful.
yeah.
So what?
You mean if I could get there again? I've only been to that island or that glacier once in a dream.
And I'm wondering if that's what
I-
that
I-
was representing to you,
Yeah.
and because of that's why I was like, oh, what? No, you're not leaving me hanging, because I just talked about that in my last live stream about the
Wow.
Akashic, and if you become lucid or are able to remember that, it's not, I can't describe it. I mean, to say it's a building
Oh.
isn't doing it justice, but what I
Yeah.
likened it to is like You remember when Superman went to go get his crystals and all of that stuff? But even that didn't do it
Yeah, yeah.
justice. And it really wasn't books. It's not
No,
like books. It's not how we would picture a book, but it does have
they were
everything.
well.
It's amazing.
Where I was, they were ancient. They looked like, wow, these are like 4,000 years old, or they looked really or beyond time.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is
But
such an awesome share.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
sure. Okay, well, have a good night, Michelle.
Bless
All
you
right,
always.
thanks
I-
so much.
And
Love you. Take care.
high
Okay,
high
bye.
thoughts on your new career set goals for you. High thoughts. Okay, you guys, that was Patrick. Wow, he's always got some really amazing things to share with us. Okay, let's see. Doc sent me something in Discord. Let me see if I can open it up big enough where I can read it. He said I can. Um, okay, he said, I woke up at 1:30 a.m. with a dream in my head that didn't seem like a dream. It was like somebody invited me into a chat, but there was two large white double doors that opened, and I found myself looking up at a dozen or more people dressed in white. I was alone and heard the words, "We've been hearing about you, Doc Michael." There, let me see. There were people of young and old, small and large, men and women, but only that one voice. I responded with the words, "I'm only just me." I felt that they had been watching me and everything I do for others because they had heard of me and were going to tell me something. Then I awoke in my bed and the vision was still in my head. Wow. Awesome share, Doc. And that's from Doc Michaels. He sent that to me in a message in Discord. So phones are still open for a few more minutes. If anybody else wants to call in and share, this has been pretty amazing with the activations in Patrick's or Preliminal's life. Um, actually coming into fruition as a very gifted and talented by nature artist, working with the less fortunate kids or disabled children, doing random acts of kindness to enrich and enhance their life, which at the same time is enriching and enhancing his life. How beautiful is that? Random acts of kindness, whether we receive compensation, because currency, after all, is our, we've agreed upon that form of trade in order to provide for our families and things of that nature. So, receiving some currency, even though it's still coming from his heart, is not a bad thing. And he should be compensated for his gifts and his what he is offering to people. Okay, 707. You're live on Awake and Activate. Who am I talking to?
It's me, Michelle. This is Doc Michael.
Doc Michael? Oh my gosh. Hang on, let me put your name up. Doc Michael. You can go on and start sharing your you've got so much.
I gave you a couple little things because you hit me up, and we touch bases in a couple different apps or whatever. And I did drop the Odeon link, and because you had mentioned that earlier about the temple stuff with the Buddhist temple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's like
Yes, that's
kinda
what I
old,
want you to share about because that is your story. That is
that's story.
your
And
experience.
there's a multitude of stories that it's like I would think that many other people had stories, and over my lifetime I didn't hear them from other people. And I heard other people tried all these things for years and never seemed to get anywhere. I never really tried to do anything, and I had these amazing experiences, and they were so real. It basically opened up the spiritual world acknowledgement
Mm-hmm.
instead of just a imagination or a faith or some spookiness or something.
Right. Right.
So
You want to share that one that I've been bragging about forever?
well, hold on a second. That little story that you read, that was just a couple nights ago, and because in my downtime when I'm tired or I hit lunch and I take a break or whatever, and I hit a few chats or whatever, I talk to people, I'm used to the digital domain, but I live IRL in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's two different worlds. So it's like, okay, I'm used to hopping into a chat and feeling very comfortable, finding friends and all this stuff. So this is the very first time. I've never had any other chat type of dreams or inklings even, or considerations of a digital world being part of my world. And that's why I started that one little story that I sent to you about. I felt like I was being invited into a chat room. It was just like I don't know who did it, but it's like, hey, come join us kind of thing. But the vision was these two really tall, like a white wall, not prominent, but these two tall double doors that opened together. So I was entering, like a grand gallery entrance, so to speak. But then I go inside, and it almost seems like a little bench that's raised up maybe 2 or 3 feet, and then there's all these people there. The whole room is white, and there's not any restrictive walls or whatever. It's just a very soft white, but it was pristine. And so the people were all different. Like I said, tall and short, or young and old, or male and female. It was just a mix. So I didn't sit there and count them or whatever. It seemed like a dozen or more or less. And it's like, well, now that I say that, I'm thinking, well, what do you get with a jury? You get a dozen people on a jury, right?
Right.
Like if you're going to be judged. And so it was feeling a little bit like a courtroom setting, but it's like I come in there and I see these guys. It's like I kind of look. I have to lift my chin up a little bit to look at them. And one voice says that we've been hearing about you, Doc Michael. And I've been called by my middle name, by my first name, by different whatevers, even titles. And these guys refer to me as Doc Michael. And so that was very interesting because it's like right there in itself. It tells me about how I've been, who they've been observing. We've been hearing about you, or I don't know if it was hearing about you, or we've been like made aware of you, or something like that.
Who's been dropping off the intel on you, the good stuff?
Well, no, it's like I keep popping up for whatever reason. It's like my voice is resounding from all these different places that I go. And just the other day, somebody said something about wrenches, and I go, wow, I must have 100 wrenches in all these different channels. Because I go a lot of places, and people see me, they acknowledge that it's like I keep an even keel, I have a little bit of fun, it's camaraderie, it's family, and I try to keep people focused and and help people, dropping links, all this other stuff. So it's like not all this went through my mind. And I told somebody, I don't know if I typed it in there because it was a two-part thing, and I only gave you part of it because I was talking with somebody else about it, and I took that one screenshot I gave to you. And what I told him was that I was humble as my nature, but I was not humbled. I was not put in front of them to be humbled. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to humble myself. No, I was already humble. It's like, and the one thing that I said to them when they say, we've been hearing about you, Doc Michael, was, what was it? Something like, it's just me being me. That, I'm not trying to be anything else. And so, I don't know if you can get any humbler than that.
Right.
But I wasn't thinking that in the moment, but it's like, okay. And so I explained it to that friend in another because he responded to it when I was sharing that with him, and there wasn't a really end to it. It was like that was enough, and so make of it what you will. It's like, but the whole point was it never. I don't have dreams like that. I don't remember the dreams for the most part, and this one was very prominent, and it stuck with me. And it's like, wow, this was more. I think I started that little statement saying it was like a dream that didn't feel like a dream. Maybe you could read it again for me.
You want me to read it
Right
out
now.
loud again? Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I got to open it
I
all the
don't-
way up. Make it big enough for my, because you know how Discord is so small. Okay, it says, I woke up at 1:30 a.m. with a dream in my head that didn't seem like a dream. It was like somebody invited me into a chat, but there were two large white double doors that opened up, and I found myself looking up at a dozen or more people dressed in white. I was alone, and I heard the words, "We've been hearing about you, Doc Michael." There were people of young and old, small and large, men and women, but only that one voice. I responded with the words, "I'm only just me." I felt that they had been watching me and everything I do for others because they had heard of me, and they were going to tell me something. Then I woke up in my bed with this vision in my head.
Okay. It's good to hear it read back to me, because it was like it came out of me, it flowed out of me, what happened. And there was a couple of little points in there, is that I didn't feel that I was being judged or brought forth to be chastised for anything, that I was just being acknowledged. And it's like, it feels rare in these days to be acknowledged. Just to be acknowledged, it's like, yeah, I've heard about you. It's like, you're not a bad guy. And I mean, sometimes that's the best compliment you can get.
Right. You know, there's a lot of people that have that hold you in high regard, but this is nothing. This is nothing to
few times because of some stories of mine that are true. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. Yeah, and see, like, people like you would be somebody that I would seek, like, counsel from, because you're sound mind, and you're balanced, and you can handle it without getting personally involved, because you know, when we hear things or when we talk to other people, sometimes people can get personally involved and unintentionally send intentions towards the other person out of trying to protect somebody that we love, and then actually cause harm and not know the entirety of the dynamics of what's going on. That's why I'm very careful on who I will seek counsel from. Even now, even more picky about who I will seek counsel from. And you're still on that list, Doc. So,
Well, I don't profess to be a counselor or a minister. I do help administer. Like if you have a business, you have a multitude of things coming and going and people involved, and you need an administrator to make sure things run smoothly. And I have helped people that way when they have, they're kind of at their wits' end. It's like, well, what's going on? Well, it's this and that and the other thing. It's like, well, there's 5 different things going on all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And you identify each one, and it's like, well, one of them you could fix with a phone call. The other one might take 6 months. And something else you're going to have to work on. It'll take, but you identify each one. You're administering, some sort of focus.
And sometimes you just need somebody that's distant from the issue altogether, to just listen and give sound advice without taking a side one way or another.
I'm not the judge because people get drunk, they get stupid, they get stoned, they spend too much money on one thing and they don't have enough for something else, and they have anguish and frustrations and problems within relationships, and it's like, well, where, let's find out what all these things are and look at each one, and it's like, oh, they're compounding factors. And so that's an administration, where you divide the things, and so they work. Each one works at its own pace to come together to have a coherent, overall end product or end result. So whatever it is, and these days we have a lot of extra pressures. And so when I say I'm not whatever you said, a counselor or something.
No, I said I seek counsel.
Or seeking counsel, yeah.
Yeah, when I talk about seeking counsel, I'm talking about when I'm saying seeking counsel, I'm talking about maybe there's a situation that I've gotten myself tangled up into that I'm too freaking involved, so I will seek out somebody that has no involvement to get some sound, balanced advice.
Exactly. You need a third party, an objective observer to say, hold your horses, you're tripping on your own feet there, or something. And so all of us are supposed to counsel each other. It's like, I can see what you're doing, and it's like, well, hold on a second. Stop and sharpen your saw. You don't have to work so hard. And there's a bunch of old metaphors or middle management things, hang in there, baby, or work smarter, not harder, and all sorts of stuff that it doesn't really help unless it sticks and people apply it. And it has to be, when you seek counsel, you're asking one friend, say, what do you think of this? And they give you their opinion, and you can have half a dozen friends with different opinions. And it's like, so you get that, everything with a grain of salt, so to speak, and you see what really works for you. Because they're not in your shoes. They don't feel the same way. They can't react the same way, but they can give you their objective or perspective.
Right.
And so that's brethren coming together. And that's what people used to do in communities. They would talk to each other. Maybe they'd go to a Sunday church or something. It wasn't about church. It was about the community and the people that you could speak with during the week, when you have whatever, one problem or another or whatever. And things, communities survived and thrived that way. And this is what we've lost in this digital world. People turn to this form of communication instead of being out there in the front yard talking with the neighbors. And it's like somebody says, oh yeah, my kids, I just can't make them get dressed in the morning. And it's like, that's something that they're stressing about. And you get another opinion. Those days are gone. Everybody's hiding in their houses, and then it's been forced the last 6 months or whatever. It's the isolation, and it's like, so we've lost that type of counsel from others.
Right.
And so when you come to somebody for counsel, you can come to anybody. It doesn't matter if they're old or new, or if you just met them or whatever. You can say, hey, if you need to lean on someone's shoulder, the least we can do is try to be there for somebody else and give them what we have, a little feedback.
Well, my recommendation when you're seeking counsel from others is that you look upon them and see, do a little homework on them to see if they're balanced. Number one, if they're non-judgmental, and where their level of discernment is. We want to make sure that we're not seeking counsels from those that would pick sides, gossip, or create more havoc out of a situation. Right. There's a level of maturity that comes along with the people we should be seeking counsel from.
Right, and we learn that along the way when we do share some things and it comes back to bite us from the wrong angle. And so, wait a second, that's not what I said. And I was trusting somebody to keep this in confidence because it's personal. And then, that's your discernment being, refined.
That's us being grown and stretched.
Right, you find out jealousy and all these other things. And so then when you do mention to others, it's like, well, yeah, I talked to Dr. Michael as counsel. It's like, some people are like, what is he, a psychiatrist or something, or a medical doctor? He does brain
No,
surgery, or what?
I mean it as an unbiased elder, somebody in balance. When I'm talking about seeking counsel, I'm saying, okay, you have a daily problem or a conundrum or something that is really troubling you, and you don't want to be sending out negative energy or inflicting harm on anybody ever. So you seek counsel from somebody who is balanced,
Right.
who's able to listen, understand with compassion, without judgment, to give sound, balanced advice on how to restore not only yourself, but also not inflict harm onto another. So
You
that's
got it. Because
that's,
we're not perfect, and we do have emotional responses to physical problems.
yes.
And so if we can meter that or temper it,
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody else to help us. Stop. Don't light your hair on fire, run down the street screaming. It's like, wait a second. Let's look at what's actually happening. It's like it's a piece of paper that showed up in the mail, and now you're screaming mad. It's like it's a piece of paper. You don't have to react that way.
And it has
So
to
it's
be
like, all right,
something pretty
That-
darn troubling for me to seek out counsel. I mean, I have to really be bothered by something before I would bother you, except for, having a casual conversation, which
Well, you
we
look
have
at
those
things
too.
different. A lot of people are very reactive, and you are very. For most people that I know, you're one of the most tempered people. One of the most tempered of the people that I know. That you don't rush to judgment. You try and analyze things to see what the reactive potential is. It's like you don't need to go there. It's like, wait a second, I can take this apart, and I can take slow steps to go to get over this bump in the road, whatever it is.
Right. I do
So-
try to do that. You're right. I introspect to the point that sometimes I overanalyze even myself.
Yeah, I've done it myself too, and I see it in other people, and it's like that's too much energy. You're working too hard on something that should bring it back to the basics, and we can call it the innocence of a child. It's the, and we see examples of that, but it seems rare these days. But it's like some of the old standards that we had in generations past have been lost today, and as we don't come back to some of the simplicity of things, we get drawn into deeper confusion that it's too complex for one person, and it causes angst or frustration or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway,
I agree.
that's society now. That's the world that's been impressed or imposed upon us.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can see those external factors and say, okay, in this moment, if they don't exist, what is the actuality of something that's affecting me? And it's like, okay, wash all those things away, and I have one thing I'm dealing with in the moment. And it's like, oh, that's a lot simpler.
Sometimes
So
it's just best to purge
takes
it
a
out and
level of
let go. Purge it out and let it go and move on. Because
Yeah, I went
it's an
into
energetic drain. I mean, we know that the unseen realm is just as tangible as the physical seen realm. And once we realize the balance, the
Most
delicate
people
balance.
don't know that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They don't understand that. Yeah.
And so if you're sharing something with somebody that has no true foundation in exactly what you just said, they'll never understand, and they're not going to react accordingly. They're going to react in a limited way. And so it's not going to give you a benefit, really. But that's part of what we each learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we test the people around us, the people that we want to be able to trust, and it's like, okay, I can deal with them on a level 3, not a level 7.
Right.
Or a 9.
Right. Right.
And so right here in chat, it's like we've got a bunch of 9s,
Mm-hmm.
hanging around you.
We've got a good group. It's a small group, but this is a powerful group of people who seem to gather here. They're very alerted.
It reflects on you. It reflects on what you're putting out, and it attracts what you're what you're putting out. It's like, so that's why we're here. It's like we can find people that we have value in them because we have value in ourselves that most people wouldn't understand. So that's why we're a small group, what, a dozen people or something? I forgot. I looked a while ago.
Well, yeah, there's like 13 in here now. Well, I did a live at a different time the other day, and there was 20 some odd people in there. But, you know, the call-in
Yeah.
shows last a little bit longer, and because I want to hear from you guys. Usually, it draws more people to hear from, you know, all the different people on what's going on within each of us. But I have not, honestly, I have not been on YouTube for a few weeks now.
No,
And
no, you popped up at 3 o'clock in the morning, for crying out loud, like a week ago, 5 days ago or something. It's like, what are you doing? 3 o'clock in the morning? Oh, I'm in the West Coast. Maybe it's 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning for you, whatever it was. But it's like,
when was that?
you know, you were gone for like a week and a half or something, or 2
Oh,
weeks.
yeah. That was the last live
And
stream that I did, that I promised
there
you
was
guys
an-
I would do
other
this
night.
one. Yeah.
Don't you ever sleep? What are you doing? It's like, I know what you're going through with the lawyers and the daughter and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, you got to a certain point, your whole world has kind of been turned upside down. It's like, so where is your quiet time in this world when you can put things forth? And it's like when the rest of the day, the noise of the day quiets down, then you can go on live,
You
and
know,
you can
it's
have coherent thought.
interesting, though, is that when I purged out all of the nonsense that was going on in, you know, the electronic world, all of a sudden, it like everything ramped up in like tick-tock time on how everything transpired for that case. It's just moved along so quickly, Doc. I mean, it's shocking. As soon as I purged all that out, I let go of it. I stopped holding it so close to my heart. I was holding negative energy that wasn't mine to hold on to. And I was trying to figure it out. What did, you know, I was over analyzing, over introspecting.
Yep.
I purged it out. I let go of it, and bam, 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 bam. This is all
That's
transpiring.
hard. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is to get to that breaking point where you are broken down to your core and you shed all these things that have been clinging on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's being refined the hard way, and it's painful. And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, things can roll along smoothly. Everything else is falling away.
Right. Right.
So,
And
all these other
there's
things
precious
don't matter.
people. And the precious people, there are very precious people in my life. And I value their counsel. I value Preliminals counsel. I value Dead GPK's counsel. Everybody has a different flavor, a different color, a
Yep.
different attribute that adds to the collective of what, you know, Michelle's life consists of online and in real life. You know, it's not like I shut my computer off and forget all about you guys. No, I hold you guys near and dear to my heart, whether I'm dealing with in real life things or not. But I had to purge and shed some things that were unhealthy. And like I said, things are now transpiring so we can, as a family, begin to heal. That's the big thing that I want. It's not about justice or vengeance. I want this over with. I want this in our past so we can
You
begin
just
the
reminded
healing
me of
process.
that Buddhist temple because of what you just said
That's what I wanted
about
to talk about.
being broken down and shedding away.
Mm-hmm.
And because what I said there, and that place had been built for 25, 30 years before I got there, and they wanted to volunteer, and they basically begged me, concrete and steel, to go build that temple. And it's like, okay, and they're just going to, you know, feed me and water me for 3 months and give me, I think it was like $5 a week so I could get toothpaste and shaving cream, and that was about it. And it's like, okay, I got nothing better to do. So I go in there, and next thing I know, it's like the way the administration ran things, it's like, okay, it was like a hard-nosed business. You know, don't speak unless you're spoken to. If you speak, you only speak about the work that you're doing, and no chit-chat. And it's like, okay, yeah, you get the job done. Seriously. And the next thing I know, after it went to completion, they were slacking for a long time. I didn't know that. They called in 300 volunteers, and everything went crazy. But everything did got built, and it got whatever the ceremony was on August 8th, 1991. I did run those numbers somehow. I clicked in, and it's like, whoa, that's one of those special dates in time. I forget how I came to the conclusion, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing was, after that ceremony and everybody was gone, all the volunteers got sent away, except a bunch of us were still there. The core group before the 300 came in for the last week or two, and then they were gone. Then we were going to go back to work. No, administration only special meeting. And I think I told you this, and I wasn't allowed there, so instead of starting at 6:30 in the morning, and it's during the summer, it gets warm fast, so you want to start early and do as much as you can. So the next thing I know, it's like, no, we're not allowed there as volunteers. It's the admin that's been there for decades. But I had been approached earlier by my mentor that's supposed to guide me, and this is under Buddhism where every life is equal and respectful and stuff, and it's like, this guy was totally, I don't know what he was doing. He was just hating on me, big time. So there were a bunch of other little factors that he had noticed, and it was a jealousy thing. But the thing about that was, when I went down like 3.5 hours later to go see if the meeting was over, and it wasn't. And I peeked through a little knothole at the backside of a garage so I could actually see, and their leader spoke exactly my words. He's from India or Tibet or somewhere. He spoke exactly my words that I commented to one other person in the privacy of the inner temple, verbatim, and basically told them they were all hypocrites, and knocked them down to cleaning toilets, scrubbing floors, and pulling weeds for the next year to humble themselves, to erase everything, decades of all their work, and to learn humility, and to do your job with whatever it is, cleaning toilets. Do it beautifully. Do the best you can do with
This
whatever
is
you're
the
given.
experience that I wanted him to share with you guys. So listen up good. Okay.
So, well, the whole thing was, they had to stand out there from 6 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, and it was like 110 degrees in the shade in August, and who knows what it was. They were standing out there with no water, and they couldn't move, and they had no shade that whole day. And it's like, all right, well, maybe they ought to remember that. And so the next day, it's like, okay, we can go to work and button up a few things here and there. But the interjection came in where the city was offered to myself and a couple of the other guys, if you want to run this city, it's yours. These guys are all relegated to the lowliest jobs. They're the minions that have to start all over again. You guys are honorable, And it was myself and a guy named Kieran from England and another guy from England. And they were just volunteers from all over the world. But the core group was only about a dozen or so of us. And so it's like, I'm offered to run this private Buddhist city that's never been seen. It's just very strange. It's like, no, it's not my calling, not my job. It's like, nah, somebody else can do it. It's a burden to me to manage people that are, you got to teach them from kindergarten up, or less than kindergarten, preschool up. And you're not going to get any respect. You're going to get jealousy and anger and frustration. And I don't want to be that person. They have their own paths. I have mine. And so I left the city. There were a lot of magical or poignant moments in there with a bunch of Buddhist monks, and there was some other things that happened, and I ended up sitting on the throne with their god, their man god, and being introduced and eating out of his dinner. And nobody ever does that, period. People have been there for decades, are down on their knees begging, licking his feet or whatever. It's like, and I'm sitting there just like I'm sitting next to you. Like we go to lunch and have a beer and whatever, tacos or something. It was like very comfortable. But this is a man god on earth. After I left there, I think I told you that my folks wanted to see when the one day it was open for public viewing in like 35 years, open to the public. All the tickets were sold out, but whatever happened. They added an extra bus, and so my folks got tickets, including for me. I went up there, and then it was the tourists that'll walk around to see what it was, and then the city was closed again forever. But the thing was, I ended up seeing Tarzan again, and it's like I had sat on his throne with him, eating his dinner. I got introduced to his daughters, but nobody else was around, except for the one guy that got mad at me. He just happened to be witnessing a couple of these moments, and he hated me. And so here it was, like 8 years later. It was 8 years later. There was another 8. The 8 keeps repeating itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of course it does.
And the 8, if you look at it as the sideways, the infinity symbol, it's also the Mobius loop, where both sides are the same side. Mm-hmm. You know, you go around the same thing twice, and you're on the inside or the outside. And then if you twist that loop in the middle, it makes the figure 8, and it crosses itself. So basically, you have the right side up and the upside down crossing itself. It's like having 4 dimensions all crossing over themselves at the same time. And that may reflect on the world that we're in today, having 4 different dimensions. The same place in different time space, even though it doesn't exist like that. 4 different dimensions crossing all at the same time, all intermingling, all compressed together. The spiritual world, the craziness of the physical world, and who knows what else that we have yet to see. So this is just a little something I thought up in my own perception of things in the analytical and metaphysical mix, the spiritual acknowledgement of this confusing world and all the powers that seem to be backwards that are influencing what we think should be forwards.
Right.
So the right hand and left hand spin both going on at the same time, and the opposite, the mirror image of both of those at the same time.
Right.
So that gets pretty weird.
Yes. And it's
So anyway,
backwards,
back to the
upside down
temple.
world.
Yeah. Up, right side up, upside down, inside out, right side in, and whatever else. It's like
We're not operating right now
right.
in the as above, so below. We're inverted and twisted and contorted. This is not.
we don't know what level we're intermixing with or how to respond to these things.
It's complete distortion at this point, but we are working very hard to clear up the distortion and to bring clarity
Well, we
back.
shouldn't have to work hard. That's the whole point.
No, but we do for now because it happened.
Everything. You should be like that stone in the middle of a river, and their stone is unscathed by all this water that's flowing down, and it'll push trees and people and other things down there. But everything goes around you.
And that's when you begin to walk in it as a flow, it's your new paradigm, new heart, and it's now your new life, your new walk, and that's your new flow. But until you get to there, it is a bumpy, distorted, convoluted matrix that we need to reprogram.
What you're describing is the storm that's around us.
Right.
And
The
each
whirlwind.
one of us has to know that we can be in the eye of the storm, the eye of the hurricane, where it's gentle and it's beautiful skies, and the storm can surround us as long as you don't stick your nose into it. It's not going to tear you apart.
That's right.
So you can have that peace and that placid moment, that serenity, despite the storm. It's like your choice.
Can you can you do me a favor? And
I don't know.
I know you can, because this is your personal experience. When you were there and you were laying the concrete with the monks that were to be teaching, can you tell everybody what happened and how that came about? Because it's just so, talk about mystical, you talk in your head or talk to yourself, and then just this
About my wife pushing me, oh, look at this, because I was getting poisoned at home by a gas leak in the wall, for months, and nobody could diagnose it. And I finally found it after like 5 or 6 weeks. And it's like, my employer thought I was on drugs or whatever. They were laughing at me behind my back and in my face.
Nice.
And it's like, they were doing everything just to screw with me. It's like, whatever. So it's like, you need a vacation. It's like, all right, well, here. My wife at the time, she's like, why don't you go do this? And it's like, well, I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not going to go hang out with a bunch of funky monks or something. And then she came up again, like 3 or 4 weeks. Oh, the ad's still in the paper. And it's like, nah. And then a couple more weeks later, whatever, it's like, I go, what the hell? Forget this stupid job. It's like, I'll just get out of here. My wife wasn't doing me any good. And it's like, all right, I'll just call it a vacation. So a 3-month minimum. So I go over to the Holy Hill in Berkeley, and it's like, oh, good luck with that, where everybody and their mother is trying to sign you up for Jonestown or some cult. It's like, you got to watch out for Berkeley. So that's a whole other story. I heard you laugh.
Yeah.
But seriously, you got to watch out. But it's like, all right, whatever. It's like, and I tell them, no, I'm not a Buddhist, but it's like, you guys are asking for concrete and steel, and that's what I did. I was a foreman for concrete and steel, and I was in soils engineering. I know foundations. I know dirt, no problem. It's like, you want to volunteer? Just give me a sandwich at work, All right. So a couple of days there, and it's, all right, here's your lifetime Tibetan passport. It's, what do they call it, sovereign land, like an Indian nation lands or something like that. So it's basically considered a foreign country. So it's like, all right, I go up there, go in there, start to doing and it's like, all right, holes in the ground, rebar, concrete, scheduled to come in next week, and we need all the rebar and this and that and the other. But I know foundations, and there's basically a secret spot underneath the center of the temple where there's a time capsule, where there's, now, I'm not supposed to tell anybody this, but I'm broadcasting it to whoever wants to listen. So there's a whole bunch of this stuff buried, whatever it is. I consider it esoteric or whatever type of knowledge it is. Gnostic knowledge, esoteric knowledge, fallen angel knowledge, ancient technologies, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. So all this stuff is buried because this world is not ready.
Right.
And so I'm the guy that poured all the concrete. I know how the place works. It works as a static machine. There's no moving parts. So there's just the shell of the temple, but in itself, 108 feet tall and 8-sided, and the mathematics on it, and you break it down by 3. What's 108 divided by 3? 36, maybe? Or what's 36 times 3?
Don't make me do math in my head right now.
It's 108, okay?
okay, I believe you.
but then you look at it with a quizzical eye, it's like, well, okay,
yeah, 3, 6, 9,
3.
and 18, 108. Yes, got it.
So then it's like, yeah, and then what's 36 is 6 cubed, 6 to the power of 3, instead of, or is it 6 squared? I don't know, whatever it is. So or 6 sixes, right? So it's like all these 6s and 3s and 108, and you can look at 54 and where that comes from, and there's a 52 and a 54, and there's all these numerological things. But if you look at it geometrically, as a geometric design, there's also a frequency base that you can use with semantic that create a frequency that creates the same octagonal geometric representation. So it's a frequency-based mathematical formula that is, I learned this later, I recognized it later. I didn't really learn it, I just acknowledged, I recognized it. So all of these things get into this whole other world. And what is inside of that place is like a Christmas tree, a conical structure of shelves with 108,000, there's a number, of these little statues. And in each side of the statue, every single statue has a handwritten prayer scroll and 3 crystals. If you know what a crystal radio is, one crystal vibrates at a certain frequency, just like a musical tone, do, re, mi, fa, whatever.
Right.
If you hit 2 keys on a piano instead of just one, ding, ding, dong, dong, you hit them both together, and they create a third chord. boom, a new one that's a resonant sound instead of the two separate sounds. You have a third one, a brand new one. So if each of those sets of three create an area at a base oscillating frequency, each of those three come together and they make three brand new frequencies. So with those three brand new, you've got 108,000 of these freaking things piled up. If you're a ham radio operator like I am, you understand antenna designs and how to propagate, how to radiate energy. So you have all these in a certain mathematical structure of height to, height to width or diameter.
It's in depth.
And this whole thing is like a giant megaphone, kind of like a transmitter and receiver, both. And then there's meditation chambers underneath there in around the center core. So people can go down there and meditate, and it's like this is a giant amplifier to open up your consciousness to go blast well beyond any astral travel.
Right. Almost like a vortex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't know if it's right-handed vortex or left-handed vortex. There is a difference.
Right. One draws in negative energy and one expels negative energy.
Well, not necessarily.
Depends on which way it oscillates.
They're equal opposite energies, and you can call them black and white or positive and negative or good or bad. But it's still energy. So energy can be manipulated in any way. So if it's your brain, your manifestation, or your focus on something, whatever that is, you can be pulling it in or you can be expelling it or broadcasting it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Energy's
like
neutral. It always comes in neutral until an intention is set. Yes.
Yeah, there's all sorts of conjectures. Like, what is this thing? Oh, a pile of crystals doesn't do anything. You sit at it and look at it. It's like a bunch of crystals sitting there in a pile. They don't do anything. Nice. Take a snapshot and go home. Yeah.
What?
Right?
Let the wind blow through those crystals and let the sound resonate from those crystals.
No, they don't. No, they don't. All the crystals are encapsulated.
Oh.
They have no.
You mean
they're
they're
sealed inside of statues of one of their gods.
Oh.
And there's 108,000 of these statues. 108,000 of these sealed statues with prayer scrolls, and each one of those prayer scrolls are very small, very tightly rolled, all handwritten. And when they're handwritten, they have intention in them.
Yes.
So that intention is encompassed into each one of those sets of three. So all of this intention, whatever those scrolls, I just remembered, I have one of those.
But I want you to tell them the story about the monks that had were supposed to be teaching, but they were instead lording over the ones they were to be teaching. Do you remember talking? Yeah, I remember talking to me about that.
Those were the administration people. They were supposed to be Buddhist, and they were supposed to be mentors. And what they were overlords instead of mentors, and they looked down on people instead of as equals.
I think you did mention that.
Thing about
they went outside and stood outside in the heat. And okay, maybe you did touch on that.
Those are all the guys that had to be humbled. And I found out where they all came from. Most of them, or the majority of them, were actually psych professors at Berkeley.
Really?
They all got their doctorate in psychology, or whatever it was, and they all ended up grouping together up here and building this place, a little at a time, mostly by the sweat and labor of volunteers. And then they finally put it on something like Bing or Yahoo or somewhere where it says it's some sort of a retreat that's closed to the public, and there's people that have volunteered there that have a bunch of these guys are crazy and stuff. How many stars they give them or whatever. Like if you're looking for a Chinese restaurant, they tell you how many stars, one of these apps. And so now I found it on there just last week, and it's like, son of a gun. What is it, Yelp maybe? It was just funnier than hell. And it's like all these people are like going, yeah, I went and volunteered there, and these guys are a cult. They're crazy people. It's like, don't go. Don't, just run as far away as you can.
Right.
That's before I got.
And
So anyway.
people throw around the word like, Occult is hidden, and
A cult.
a cult is when you put somebody in a position of divinity and follow after every single thing that they
Right. That's
say.
what these guys were doing, and they thought that since they were following so long, that they knew better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So a humble person comes in, and somebody that's arrogant starts dishing out the, this, that, and the other, and it just so happens that the humble person is correct, and the arrogant person is wrong. And it's like, well, the humble person, you inherit the city, the kingdom. And the arrogant one that's been sitting here doing all this stuff for decades, it's like, no, dude, you have to go shovel horse manure for the rest of your life. It works that way.
Right. That's how life doles it out. And the more humble and in equality that you walk, the more
I don't like
enhanced.
laughing because it's ironic. I'm not laughing at the guys that went through that. It's like, well, I wish they would have, just stayed with a soft heart.
Yes. Yes. A
And
heart
they
of
did.
compassion gets you a long way in life.
So I don't go into all the details. There are a bunch of other, kind of fun stories up there, but they're personal and they're not. Everybody has to learn their own little lessons in life, and they have stories that nobody else would believe if you don't. It didn't happen if you don't take a picture or whatever. No
I
picture.
don't discount anybody's experiences because of the ones that I've experienced are so mind-bending that when somebody says that they've had such an experience, I take them at the value of that they're being authentic and honest until proven otherwise. So, I mean,
and I commented in chat that I quit doing some stuff back in '91, and let me see. What was it?
the
Freeland
astral,
was talking about some stuff.
yeah, dreaming and astral and all that. Why? Why would you
It's
stop?
like, and I did some of that, just to keep my wife company in her meditation.
Mm-hmm.
She said she was Buddhist, and it's like, well, I'm not Buddhist. It's like, but I can. She nudged me into meditating with her, and then I had some experiences that she got jealous of, and I talked to her God multiple times, and I was given information, ancient language and stuff, and they even sent people over from Cairo and Berkeley and I said, no, it's not my God. If you want this, and I was given this whole ancient nomadic language nobody had heard in thousands of years, according to them, and it's like, well, this is your God, not my God. Why don't you just talk to him yourself? And it's like, what's your big deal?
Right.
And it's like, and I didn't realize that all these people go through the motions, and they never actually know what they're doing. They're trying so hard
The rituals.
to gain something, they get nothing.
Right. Right.
And so if they just give it up and just take it for what it is, it's like, then you're open to receive. If you're so focused on something, you're a beggar, and it's like beggars get pushed away.
And I think that, my lack of reading and my lack of study into such topics has made it more open and accessible because I don't have that built-in filters or blocks or now I had to overcome a lot of fear paradigm from
Preconceived
religions.
notions. Preconceived notions.
Yes. Yeah, or
So I
expectations.
went through that whole cycle, what I thought my life would be like, and I tried to imagine, like, a house, a wife, and kids, and a car, and a job, or whatever. And none of those things that I tried to perceive in my mind, they never happened. It was always something else that I could never focus on, that actually appeared in my life, and that that became part of my life. And so when somebody has a preconceived notion, I'm going to meditate on this, and I'm going to have this God talk to me, it's like, well, good luck with that. If that's the answer you want, you can keep asking the same question. It reminds me of some musicians, rock stars, that they put on a show for all their fans, and it's like all their fans pay for the tickets and everything, but they hate them. They hate them clawing at wanting a piece of them. And they're glad, just to be neighbors, and we can chew the fat all day and talk. And Like, yeah, these guys are world famous. They fly all over to different countries and do all their stuff. But it's like, I'm not a follower. But all the followers are the beggars that it's like these guys are gods to them. And they get no respect. I mean, they give no respect to hordes of grabbers, wannabes. So that's bringing it into the modern age. And if that's in parallel to the spiritual world, if you're a beggar, gimme, pray for this every day or something, it's like, no, you're going to have to work for that. Your God will turn a cold shoulder to you or whatever. And there's gods in every culture by every different name, and people do manifest them. Physically, spiritually, whatever they focused on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's where we need to take care. Even
so
rounding it back to counsel. When you see
world.
counsel.
This is my wife's world. And I think I told you, she got screaming mad at me because her gods would talk to me and they wouldn't talk to her, and she screamed, "I've been meditating for 20 years and Shiva won't talk to me." It's like, I didn't even know who Shiva was. And Shiva and I, it's like, hey, nice to meet you, whatever. It's like, oh, okay, you're the destroyer of worlds? Well, that's nice. What else do you do? Nothing. Just destroy our worlds. All right, whatever.
No, she doesn't. She does much more than that. Come on. She doesn't destroy worlds. She destroys 5 minutes ago as we're creating the now moment.
Well, whatever my wife was begging for 20 years, she never told me about it. I don't know why I married her. She hid things from me. It's like, all right, so that didn't last long. I got out of there pretty quick. Here, sign the papers. It's all yours. And I was gone. But it's like, don't lie to me. Don't hide stuff from me. And same with you. I mean, it's like, if you're just honest with me, it's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. It's like, I'd look into it. I'd be curious about it. It's like, all right, you can share stuff with me, but don't hide stuff from me.
Right. If you're not going to be totally authentically honest, really, I think that's where a lot of times we end up getting our hearts broke, because people are not 100% authentically honest. They try to hide certain aspects. Yeah, and while hiding certain aspects, they end up hurting people that care about them.
Yeah, it's tough. So we're all on a learning curve. No matter where we started out with or how long we've been touching bases with each other, we're still on a learning curve. And we learn off of each other. And that's why we've got whatever, a dozen people here or something. So I have to put on my glasses to read this chat. Yeah, lucky 13, huh?
Yeah, 13. We got 13 observers, and I'm going to go ahead and tell Mike to go ahead and call back, because he was on hold for a while, but I knew you had lots to share.
Yeah, he told me to go first. It's like, all right, whatever. All right, Mike. You got the number in the pin.
Yeah,
so,
it's on the screen. And I'm going to, while we're waiting for him to call, I'm going to say, there's no one, talk about a man with many wrenches. No matter where he's at with the wrench, if somebody brings up a channel, like if the person that is talking, brings up a channel and wants him to post it, that man can find a link in seconds and have it available in the chat stream for people. It's absolutely amazing. You're a wizard. You're a wizard wrench holder.
Oh. Me, Michael, or the other Michael?
You. I'm talking about you. Master wrench holder.
Do that.
I know. And like really fast.
And other people that have wrenches, it's like they can do it too. It's like, I don't know why they don't. It's like,
we do it. We're trying, but you've already got it. I mean, you're fast. It's like, bam, you got it.
Well, listen. And if you're giving something to other people, it's like, people get lost searching for things, and it's like, it's easy for me for some reason. And so at least I can do it. If I have that ability, I'll drop it and give it to other people.
Well, you got
all right, you've got the phone number.
Type faster fingers
on the screen. So let Michael call in.
And thank you so much for sharing that wonderful story of humility and equality.
It's a silly story. I mean, it has to do with so many weird things that it's like, it really doesn't add a lot of value to anybody's life unless kind of like unless they lived it, or they take it with a grain of salt. When they walk into another situation personally, they can look at it and go, wait, there could be deeper meaning, but I don't need to know about it. You know? So it's like, all right, you go through what resonates with you.
Well,
Anyway.
how it resonated to me was it doesn't matter what we think that we know, or if we think we know more than another. Somebody else can pick up that information and not only catch up with us, but can pass us. And we need to be humble enough to allow that, because then we can then learn and glean and grow further from them. Because we're cutting ourselves off by limiting each other. That's my
Yep.
opinion of it.
Time for 5D, because I put in like more than my 2 cents worth.
Okay, sweetie. Thank you so much, Doc, for calling in. You're awesome. We'll give him a few
You know,
minutes.
you and I have had some really nice private talks together, and I appreciate it.
And we will
Everything you've
soon. We
through-
will soon.
And you're still here without totally falling to pieces. I mean, I can't imagine what you've gone through. So
It's been a long
let's
time
leave-
coming.
because we recognize that we can cherish each other, no matter some of the angst that we go through.
Yes.
All right.
Recognize
God
the
bless
beauty
always,
in
and
each of
5D,
us.
you're up. Okay.
All right, Oregon. Go ahead and call. Thank you, Mike. And you guys know you can see Doc Michaels pretty much on, my gosh, he's everywhere. San Juan Fair, he's everywhere. I've seen him on so many different platforms, and yeah, he's the wrench holder for sure. And just about, I don't think I've actually been to a place where he's interacting where he is not a smurf, where he's not all blued up. So, okay, my skies 5D. I've been dying to hear your job and your testimony in the Lionsgate, and I hope you're still around and listening so you can call and share with us on this call and share show. Looks like Michael Fontaine wants to communicate via email, and that's perfectly great also. It matters not how you prefer to share, but what we share with one another. Each of us glean and we each grow that much more from how we present. And that one, I know he didn't bring up about he was in the one area where he was by himself, and he said to himself something about humility within his inner thoughts. Maybe he verbalized it, but there was nobody around. The higher ups, sensed it and they heard it. And then action was taken to bring humility back, to bring balance back to such a beautiful place that they were constructing. That will, by the way, withstand the test of time by using, some of these things that we think are taboo, like sacred geometry, which I don't know if that one's been released yet. I have videos being released. I know the Placebo and Control Our Mind was released either yesterday or today, which kind of goes along with what we're talking about today with our thoughts, creating and manifesting, and through advertising and media, and even through doing clinical trials on medications where they'll have a control group with the sugar pills, and those people will actually recover just as well as the people taking the actual medications. And they used to throw that medication out, saying it wasn't serving the purpose. But now in science, they've discovered, wait a minute, there's a lot of power in thought. So since you think of it like a ritual, they're going to the doctor, they're receiving treatment, they believe they're receiving treatment, therefore they manifest the results of getting the treatment. And so therefore, don't think for a moment that your thoughts and your intentions and the things that we think upon and then we speak upon do not have a direct impact into the unseen realm, then manifesting out into the physical realm. We are such amazing beings And Michael Fontaine shared something pretty fantastic about something that he was called upon to do, and he chose his children, to love his children. Well, usually when you're called upon to do something, you're doing it. You're more than likely already doing it, but it's just coming into your awareness. And then, of course, you've got your beautiful children, and you're loving them and taking care of your children in the physical realm. But in the unseen realm, you have multiple jobs, multiple things that we are going about, because that is our actual natural state. Becoming fully awakened, fully aware of what our jobs, our purpose is here, who we are in truth, in wholeness, having that awakening process happen within us, fully acknowledging the power behind our thoughts and our words and our deeds, changes our heart into being more involved in random acts of kindness, and never wanting to be of controlling or snatching life force out from another. And as I brought up earlier, a lot of times that happens accidentally, because we love our friends and we care about them, and we don't want anything bad to happen. And they report something that may be going on with them, and we're wanting to protect them, but we're not thinking that the energy that we're sending out could be harmful to the other person. It's just with more knowledge and more awareness comes more responsibility. And we need to be responsible for our intentions, our thoughts, our deeds, and our jobs that we're here to do. So I think that's pretty amazing what you began to share there, Michael, and very interested in hearing more about that. So it looks like maybe Five Skies might have, because it's almost midnight, he may have fell asleep on us, because I'm not sure if he has a day job or not. So are you still here? My Skies 5D. So I was really wanting to hear, because he did announce on that last live stream he knows his job, and that's, that is such a huge revelation in itself, to know your job. Is, I mean, wow. We all have similar things that we all do. But then again, to have it pointed out to exactly what your job is, what you're here to do, what your purpose, on top of everything that you do by nature, is a huge revelation. Absolutely huge. Let's see. Doc says the whole California coast could get washed away, but the foundation for that temple will still be there for 1,000 years from now. Yep, I completely agree with you on that. Michael Fontaine says, it was something else to me. I had something else plus others in my life. Yeah, I had a similar experience, in a near-death experience. Michael, I don't know if you remember that I was shown, after I got hit by the car when I was in the crosswalk, I went to a different place, and there was a gentleman that walked up to me, and he showed me a bunch of images. It was like possibilities and probabilities that, I was told I didn't have to come back, but then I was shown these images, and I didn't want for any of those possibilities or probabilities, if I did not come back, to befall this person. I loved him so much. And as soon as my heart reached out to him, bam, I was back in my body. And oh my gosh, the pain was so freaking intense. I went from feeling absolutely no pain, nothing but love and unconditional love in this place, just as warm and beautiful, and to back into my physical form, fully injured, with the 48 staples in my head. It looked like I went a few rounds with Rocky, and totally in pain. And that's when I opened my eyes and recognized my parents. Now, mind you, before I had the surgery, I didn't even know who they were. But then again, I wasn't there. I was gone. I went above. I saw the ambulance. I saw myself laying in the street, and then poof, I was gone. So it's no wonder I didn't recognize who they were, because I wasn't there. But when I came back, I opened my eyes and I recognized them. So that brought great peace to them. And I am grateful that I did not, I was not a burden onto their life, that they didn't have to take care of me for the rest of their life, with an injury that was that serious. As far as they knew, they were told that they could possibly have to teach me how to walk, talk, everything as if I was a baby all over again, and there was no telling on, what level that I would even function at. So for me to open my eyes and recognize them and speak words and have a conversation, they were astounded, and I ended up, continuing on with my education, graduated, went on to college. I mean, all of these things were told to my parents would not be possible. Now, I did have a slight problem, and that's with reading. Sometimes letters get a little jumbled, but that's it. That's the long and short of what was the lasting effects of that accident. I call that one an accident. I was in a crosswalk with my best friend, and in California we have 4 lane, and then we have what we call a suicide lane. Well, this young girl in a little sports car went through the suicide lane. We had 2 cars stopped on one side, 2 on the other, and we were crossing the street. It was my best friend's birthday, and I was a few steps ahead of her. And right when I got to the center of the street, I said, "Hurry up, we're going to get hit by a car." And bam, she went through the suicide lane and hit me. And I flew up and out of the crosswalk down to my side and cracked my head against the street, and it fractured my skull and caused what they call a brain bleed. And by the time the second hospital caught it, the whole front of my brain was all bled, and it was pressing my brain, putting pressure on it. So they had to get a judge to sign a court order to take me into surgery. This was before cell phones and all that, and it had been over 8+ hours. And so my parents went to get a bite to eat. First hospital said I was in shock, so they went to get a bite to eat when they did the CAT scan and realized there wasn't much time. But they did make it back in time to see the x-rays when I was in pre-op, and they were preparing me for surgery. So, things work in a mysterious way. We can't always explain the things that we go through, and the reasons that are behind them. I'm going to go ahead and close this one up because I think he has left for the evening. So let me turn on. Okay. I got to turn my lights back on because I turn them off because it's so hot. Hot. Let's get the phone number down and find me. See, yep. More curl to my hair. So, anyways, this has been an awesome call-in share show. I want to thank everybody for coming. You guys are all just, amazing people. We're far much more than we've ever been led to believe. Awakening to everything that we are, each, as it was brought up earlier, levels. I don't look at them as levels, but it could be, I guess, looked at as levels of awareness. The more aware that we become, the more careful we need to take in our thoughts, our words, our deeds, our actions towards one another. We should be showing love, unconditional love, for our brothers and sisters. We should be respecting the differences in each of our cultures. What we have to offer one another is so unique and keeps this place so interesting. When we head off to 5D or New Earth, there's still going to be duality, but it's not going to be like divide and conquer. Duality in the sense of that we will each still remain, with our cultures and with our different eclectic, sovereign uniqueness, but with showing respect and tolerance and seeing the beauty in each and allowing ourselves to expand in our awareness yet to another level of, I guess you could call this place the world game. A lot of us are already walking on new earth and seeing new heaven. Think about all of those who have been Mandela affected, who have noticed that the stars in the sky do not look the same anymore. I remember when the dippers poured into each other, they don't do that anymore. And let's not forget about the Lionsgate activation, 8/8/2020. That was an intense heart expansion activation. And what really piqued my interest was how the star Sirius lit up 26 times brighter than the sun. And it is actually, I think, twice the size of our central sun. And how it lined up perfectly with the pyramid Giza. So you guys know I have this interest in ancient Egypt, and I'm finding a lot of answers in the old hieroglyphs that tie into several cultures, books, Gnostic teachings, these things that we're told not to look at, or that they're evil or they're bad. Knowledge is not a bad thing. It's the application of what we know that will deem how it will impact one another. We should always want the highest good for everybody. Abundance. We want everybody to have food on their table, a roof over their head. Any comforts that would be humane should not be whether or not you've got enough money in your pocket. Creature comforts such as these should be afforded to every human being equally, equally. We're going to come into a time of such great abundance and peace. Some will call it the rapture, where some will be taken over or are already walking on the new earth, and others will come along later in the second resurrection. Something to think about, because each book, no matter where, has these very answers, whether it be riddles, parables, hieroglyphs, or just plain out telling you with a map that you can overlay on your brain to see how to make your eye single. Remember, Christ himself said, if your eyes be doubled, pluck one out, because it's better to enter the kingdom of heaven with one eye than it is not to enter at all. These parables, these things, he plainly said, he spoke in parables to the general public, because they wouldn't like what he has to say. Know that they are parables, and try to understand, understand. Seek, knock, and proceed forward with anything and everything that your heart desires. You are the one that we've all been waiting for. We are the ones we've all been waiting for. Let me read the last thing that Michael highlighted my name. Are you bitter against anyone that took your life? No. No, I'm not. No. When I was 15 and had that collision, then I was young, and yeah, I was mad at her. I wanted to kick her butt. It was like 15, she was 17, and I had hair down halfway down my back, and now I'm shaved bald as a bean, and a 15-year-old female. It's pretty immature back then, so yeah, I was a little mad at her at that time, but that was a long time ago. I've long since forgiven and moved past any of that. And I don't think it was necessarily bitterness. I just think that it was immaturity, and it was like, really? You're going to make me be bald? Well, I got some buzzers here. Let me let you know how this feels. I know that sounds terrible to say, but no, I don't have bitterness. And honestly, even with my daughter, what we're seeking is closure. We're seeking, to get through this, and we're going to be presented with things that are going to be very difficult to look at. They'll be very hard on our heart. But I have to be the one, since she cannot be here to stand for herself. I will be the one that stands in the gap for my child. I will be present in the courtroom. And I do have to write a letter of sorts to address the court in the best way that I can to, kind of define my daughter, explain, or give her virtues, what a blessing that she was to be around, and the innocence and the pure love that she showed towards people that were not always with the best of intentions. And she just didn't understand those kinds of things because of her pure nature. So I'm going to be working on that. But don't think for a moment that I'm not thinking about all of you guys, all of you wonderful treasures that are gleaning, growing, and also sharing with one another what's going on within our lives as we see the unseen, learn to ground out to know the physical versus the spiritual. The unseen is yet to come, and the physical is what we're dealing with in the moment. But it doesn't take any value away from the unseen. It's being able to see the unseen is how we know that we're heading in the right direction. And as for humanity, it's no longer going to be a secret group with rites and rituals, with oaths that you have to take not to share such gnosis with one another. We're sharing it openly with one another to help each other to come into this awareness. This refinement is not an easy one. So just realize that, and take heart on. Let me shut the conference thing down. Hold on. Okay, close that. End conference. And I hope that answered your question, Michael. But yeah, there's no bitterness of that regard. I don't have bitterness really for anybody. It's just we need to make choices in our life, and sometimes they're not easy choices. Sometimes we have to choose just to walk away, because I do not want to be sending any type of energy, because remember, energy comes in neutral. I don't want to be putting any kind of intention and energy that would cause harm to anybody, because it snatches life force away from one another. And we don't want to be doing that to each other. And as we grow and glean into this understanding, we understand these things. And that's the last thing that our heart would ever want. So with that, you guys, thank you for calling in and sharing, and thank you for all of you in the chat who have shared. You guys are awesome. Always remember to share what you know and listen so we can grow, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.